Okay, there we go. The chits and the chats are alive.
Lovely.
The hills are live with the chits and the chats.
Hello, chat. Yes, it's just Neal and I again. Once more.
I'm so sorry to disappoint you guys. It's just terrible.
Yep, it's just us, really. I mean, if you want to go and grab something to drink for about 10 minutes and then come back and hope Ryan made it with you, I would absolutely understand. No hard feelings whatsoever.
No hard feelings at all, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I should probably turn my video so you can see me.
Oh my god, someone rolled stats yesterday and rolled 2 3s and a bunch of other garbage. I forgot to screenshot it in the moment, but it was bad.
Was it
Couldn't be worse?
Like worse than mine?
It wasn't. Let's see. I didn't do the measurement to see if it was worse than yours, but it was like 2 3s. There was like an 11 and a 12 in there, so they weren't all trash. You know? If
it goes above 10, that's where the problem's at.
Yeah. Your terrible stats had like what, 3, a 4, a 5, and 2 6s or something. It was terrible.
Let's see. I actually have to turn off my light.
Could be worse. 7 5 8 3 6 8 5. Oof.
Yeah, they are all below 10. That's the magic. Actually, all below 9 even. So
yeah.
Add powered. Yeah.
I should have screenshotted this person's terrible stats.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you
Lord
doing?
And Savior. There we go. I'm getting a coffee. You guys talk it out. I'll be right.
What did Neal say to you? What did he do? We need to file a complaint with HR.
Oh, that's Sean. All the good guy. No, I'm just riding up Neal because he's, cranky in the morning, and then I make fun of him, and then he gets even crankier. It's our ritual.
I haven't been cranky in the slightest. She's projecting all of these things on me from her bad day at work. All right, just Ryan, Sean, save me. How are you guys doing?
There's no Sean. It's just a muted, disembodied coffee wraith.
That's me.
Oh, there he is.
Muted, disembodied coffee wraith. It's one for the quotes.
Mm-hmm. So, what's up?
Not much. There is no Sean, just a muted, disembodied coffee wraith. Love it.
What is that if not me, though?
No, this is exactly you. It's perfect. Yeah. And 2021. Woo! Okay. How are you guys doing today? Welcome to Chit Chat. Mics are hot.
Yeah, I gathered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not bad. Wife and baby are out, so I don't know. I'm not currently getting drooled upon.
Lovely. How does it feel to be drool free?
I probably still have drool on me, but it's dried and crusty at this point.
Nice. Well done. Yeah, not much has been going on over here. Got some fried chicken left over from yesterday. I'm excited to eat.
You just eat meat in front of your vegetarian wife?
Absolutely.
Order fried chicken and stink up the house like a slaughterhouse.
Absolutely. And then sometimes, like 5 times a year, she'll see what I'm eating. And she'll just like grab a bite of fried chicken and munch on it, or like grab some pepperoni pizza and munch on it. It doesn't happen often, but every now and then it's too good to be passed up. What's been going on in your world, Ryan? Anything interesting going on?
I don't know. Nothing amusing to share with chat.
Wow, that's fancy.
Yeah.
What about you, Sean? Big world happenings?
There are big world happenings, but there's only small world happenings over here.
Well, we've got no more snow. It snowed last week, and that was the last snow, I think, for the year.
No, it was like 75 degrees here yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's May.
I know, but we had snow on last Sunday and last Monday. But I think that's the end of it. Now it's just rain, which is nice because we're doing some gardening, and now things can get water. The mint is growing back.
Are you doing gardening, or is the rain doing the gardening?
I do the gardening. The rain helps with the watering.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Neal did a solid 40-minute stream of tending the plot.
You did.
I did, yes, where we dug up some bulbs and transplanted them, and
How are they doing?
They're doing great. I can see them out the window. All of the ones that I actually ended up transplanting survived, and they are very happy in their new pot. And then the random seeds that I put in haven't sprouted yet, but should be sprouting any day now. Just waiting on them.
A little late in the game, isn't it?
You can't like really do shit until
and...
after last frost, and last frost isn't until like last week. Actually, yesterday was last frost here in Boulder.
You need to move up to the northwest. Guess when our last frost is?
When?
420, baby.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Yep.
And I miss it too. It's like 70 degrees out now, and I'm dying.
Oh.
You're wishing it was winter.
Winter is great. Winter, I can like, wear pants without feeling like I'm going to, drop dead of heat stroke at any moment.
Uh-huh.
Wait, that's 21 degrees though, Celsius.
Okay, but I'm in a room that usually has like an average of 3 computers running at a time. And
Right, but then the outside temperature really doesn't matter, because if you have 3 computers inside, then even if it's cold outside, you're still going to be toasty.
But it matters about the temperature differential, because the colder it is outside, the more I can cool the room by opening the window.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it's 30 out, I can just slide the window open, and I'm not going to feel hot for very much longer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right.
We have thunderstorms scheduled all week long, and I love it. Love it.
We're having rain, and rain. So
you got the Washington special.
Nice.
Yes, big fan. Let's go. So we have nothing to talk about today because nobody brought a list. I have a crazy idea, and we can just play like 2 hours of a Dota game. Right.
No, thank you.
I have it all planned out. I'm going to be playing
one Dota game.
I'm going to take Sean as a support with me, and then Neal is going Nature's Prophet,
I'm on board.
and then Ryan, you can do whatever you want because you're the one who knows mostly what he's doing. So,
you're the hard carry, so,
No, I'm the hard carry. I'm the Korma dude. He can carry, but I'm getting the farm is what I'm saying. Yeah, I've been playing Dota this week, as you can tell. So.
Nice.
No.
Yeah, chat doesn't like that.
No, that's fine.
No.
I don't like it either. I'm just doing it because I'm bored. But
Yeah.
Is Greg not coming today?
We might not have Greg.
Tomorrow's tax day, so.
That's right. That's right.
Because you talked to him, Sean, like on Friday, right? Saturday.
I don't
even know what time you guys Friday night.
He said last week or whatever, or 2 weeks ago, that it was.
Yeah, he said he might
be here.
So he said he might be here or he might not. It kind of depends on whether or not he's just in the office or taking his like spare 4 hours to sleep during that time period.
Oh my god. What's up?
I did think of a couple of things. I'll need like a few minutes to curate those.
Well, it's great
thoughts because I didn't go so far as to write things down.
Nice. I have a question for Ryan. I was reading the local news the other day, and one of the headlines was Colorado Oil and Gas Company aims to produce the cleanest molecules anywhere. Could you tell me what the cleanest molecules mean?
They're probably referring to the like process of like synthesizing said molecules and like the waste and the energy required.
But is cleanest molecules a recognized industry
like a
term?
Molecule is by definition 100% clean, right? Like if you're talking about a molecule, you're talking about a very specific chemical structure, and so every water molecule is the same as every other one. I mean, you could have impurities, but then it's not a molecule, and it's a molecule with some other molecules hanging around. Squeaky clean molecules.
You just get out the brush and you wash each one of them, and then you pick up the next one. It's like
now
clean
there's going
coal.
to be
at
least one person who will Google for 4 hours just trying to prove Ryan wrong and to tell him later in the comments how they can be very much cleaner than others. Oh.
When you're talking clean energy or green chemistry or whatever, you're usually talking about the whole like system,
right?
Production structure surrounding it. So like how much waste there is and how much energy it takes and how much carbon you put out in the process of making said molecules.
I figured that's kind of what they were saying, but the wording choice, especially like cleanest molecules in quotes,
especially when you're talking about like petroleum processing, this is like clean coal all over again.
Instead of saying, low carbon or like low methane energy,
clean
molecules. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that should have bought Sean enough time to give us something to talk about.
I actually have one more question.
Bring it on.
What is the book with the golden colored pages on your stand behind you? What is that?
Is that a book or is that a carton of pastries?
You might also be able to put like a flask in there. I'm not sure. What is this? It looks fancy. I like it.
This is the Dragonlance Chronicles.
Oh.
Ooh. That is a cool ass book.
Is that like a special edition?
It is a special edition because, it's got the 3 main books in it with some random
Tracy Hickman
pictures.
draw Dick on the front cover for you?
She did not. No, but Tracy's a dude.
Why is he not surprised?
Yeah.
Okay.
But in the margins are little notes about authors' notes about what they were thinking at the time of the book or what's going on in the book. Sometimes there's like, here's a couple of paragraphs.
Playtester rolled a critical fail. And,
yes, literally. Yeah. It's like there's that scene with in
at this
Yaxtroff.
point you could tell Raceland is a fifth level wizard because he's casting a fireball spell.
Literally, those are the notes. Like here, he's got these spells memorized for the day. When we got to this part in the playtest, everyone just climbed down the well and died. So like we had our characters try to climb down the well to simulate what they did in the playtesting. Yes. So it's got pretty cool notes. I love it.
Is that the full trilogy?
It's the full trilogy, yeah.
In one Bible?
In one big fat Bible that I bought for a lot of money many years ago.
Oh, it wasn't a gift or something?
No, and it was expensive. It's the most expensive book I've ever purchased. But it's nice.
So as expensive as most of my textbooks?
Yeah, that's probably about a textbook in cost.
I don't actually remember how much textbooks were. I started getting them from the resources eventually.
Resources, yeah.
When like you look at the listing and you see the used copy goes for like $5 cheaper than the new copy, something's fucked. When you can get the all digital copy and it's the same price as a physical copy, there's a problem.
Yeah, ebooks are a racket. I mean, textbooks in general, I guess, are pretty expensive, but.
Well, on Amazon and eBay, this book is going for $1,500 now. So
okay, guys.
I did not buy it for that much. But wow, I should have bought a few.
I know what I'm going to steal if I ever stop by.
Yeah, not this.
No, your cat, silly. What?
Take the cat. You can have it. Ooh, here's 2 used for $7.50 on abebooks.com.
That's a legit.
Is that a legit site? Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay, sorry, I'm ready. I was just very intrigued by the golden pages.
Yes.
No, it's fine. We're trying to kill airtime, aren't we?
Trying to kill airtime. That's what we're here for, guys.
That sounds like chit chat, yeah.
We're here because we have to, not because we want to, right? It's like the worst part of your week. You're like, oh, God, no. I hate this. Why?
The part where we all get together with an unfortunate component where we go live for 2 hours.
So what happened on last week's chit chat? Was there, or is this?
We had a heated-ish argument about clerics and religion in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And the nature of good and evil. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was that. Greg got really mad at you at one point. I remember.
It was a spirited discussion. Is that why he's not here
this week?
No, not that mad.
No.
You talked about good and evil without bringing up Hitler.
Yeah, we did it.
We didn't.
It was
go
amazing.
Nazi.
You did it. Achievement unlocked.
Yeah.
I'm not in.
Although
I
we
mean,
did bring up
after-
Stalin, so you know.
But only at the very
Might
end.
have,
But we don't have any
off
Russians on the
camera.
stream, so we can talk shit on Stalin all we want.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like what are these references in the Super Cool Kids Club?
Oh.
is there a secret chit chat that I'm not supposed to be bringing up right now?
Yeah, there was a
children?
secret chit chat after the chit chat that we wanted to chat with you guys
There's
about.
multiple layers of chitting and chatting.
That's the one where we mentioned Hitler.
So I
Yeah.
shouldn't be bringing this up.
Yeah,
You heard-
no.
You heard
That's the
nothing.
one where we
You
brought
heard
up
nothing.
Hitler to
Chat.
congratulate ourselves for not bringing up Hitler.
Yes, I'm always very proud of people when they're able to not do that when I'm around and then tell me they're very proud they didn't bring it up, even though I'm there, you know? Very good.
So you're saying any bonus points that we won last week, we lost this
Yeah.
week for praising ourselves?
Immediately.
Hold on, I think you were the one who brought it up, though. Faye.
I was the one that brought it up. Chat, actually, someone in chat made a joke, and I stole their good joke. And
Yeah, well, that's what you get for stealing.
Nice.
No, it was a nice discussion about clerics. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have strong feelings about clerics.
I think we all kind of found out we had strong feelings about clerics.
Yep.
you don't realize you do until you talk to someone else with different strong feelings.
Yeah.
My first second edition character was a cleric, actually.
Mhm.
And my
My
second one
first ever
too.
D&D character was a cleric.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mine was a rogue, halfling rogue,
Aw.
named Tasselhoff Burfoot, because I was very creative when I was 11 years old or whatever.
Nice. Can't believe you remember your first character's name.
Yeah, well, it's not really mine. I stole the name just like I steal my jokes.
Well, clearly, but like to remember what your first character was
Yeah, I think I
22
had
years ago.
18 decks.
Yeah,
Rolled
sounds
3d6
like
straight down the line. I think I got 17, and then you get +1. And
Yeah.
I went through and bought everything. I rolled for money, and I went through the tables, and I was like
Just
buying
do I need this?
shoes and like extra pairs of trousers. And
I actually remember that. You never know what you need and what you don't need in the beginning, right?
I thought
You're
that
like,
was the rules. I thought you had to
chalk?
I thought you spawned naked, and you had to go to the general store and buy literally everything.
maybe that's the way that
Nice.
we should be
You spawn
playing.
naked with just a fistful of gold coins, and you're like, all right, give me clothes.
No bags
And
to
a
hold them
silly
in,
hat.
just like coins in your hands
Well,
that
you
are
have
like
to buy the
falling
bag
through.
because there's a GP value associated with the backpack.
You can spawn with a bag, but then you spawn with two fewer GPs.
Who did you play your first session with, Ryan?
Neal's the DM.
Just the two of you?
No, well, actually, before that was my first real character. We played like we called it crappy Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
like fake D&D. Like we weren't old enough or smart enough to know the rules. So
Didn't
we
have
just,
books or dice.
yeah, we would play without dice, or we'd like play like we'd use the books for like kind of inspiration and like sort of follow them, or like you probably got lent like a partial set, so we had like a monsters manual but none of the rule books.
Mm-hmm.
So we had years of crappy games. This was the
was-
first one where we had a full set of rules, and Neal was like, I'm going to DM a campaign, borrow
Uh-huh.
the player's handbook, and roll up a character.
By the
See
way,
you next
Ryan,
Saturday.
why
Just
do
the
the
two of
monsters
you.
have 2+2 hit dice? What does this mean? What does 2+2 hit dice even mean?
Oh my god. I understand that trouble.
Was this? I don't know.
That's
Oh,
just
just
4 hit
the
dice.
Yeah, because
Oh.
it was 2 hit dice plus 2 HP, but the
but it's
notation
just
in the book
written
is
as
just 2
two
plus
plus
2.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
could be 2 hit dice and 2 more. Yeah.
It was confusing. We were young and dumb.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, well, that means 4 hit dice, but that doesn't make any sense. Why would they not just write 4 hit dice?
Right? Yeah.
It's stupid too, because they could have just written like 2d8 plus 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They didn't have to do the.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
They saved that extra D8 in ink, printed 300 times.
Which is especially stupid because some of the monsters are written that way, because they're like, oh yeah, some monsters roll d10s or something instead of d8s in the monsters manual, and it's
Very few. It's like
very
the
few, but it does
Death
exist,
Knights,
right?
I think there's like you could count them on one hand. I think.
Some kobolds have D4s. There's a couple of other
but
things that
it's
have some
written as
weird.
1/2 hit die.
That's true.
I think it's
Oh, yeah.
Death Knight is the only one that I can think of that does fighter hit die.
It's just like, if they already had the
Mhm.
precedent for doing it that way anyways, why did they persist in doing it the weird way?
It was a wild time.
It's the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was actually tricked in playing my first session. I didn't know what was coming. I was invited to board game night and they lied to me. I felt very much lied to.
Well, were you playing 4th edition and like using miniatures on a board? Because then I can justify it.
We were using miniatures. I think it was 2nd edition. I don't think it was 4th edition.
Okay.
But the way they presented it to me was like, so we had like a grid laid out, and then someone had drawn out what the map would look like, and then they explained to me, so what we're doing is we're going forth as a party, right, and we're opening these rooms, and then there are going to be monsters in there or traps, and then we're going to clean out the rooms, and then we're going to take the loot, and then we're going to get out of there. And I said, that's the most boring shit I've ever heard. I'm like, how is this a game? That sounds so lame, right? I was also 14 years old, I think, at the time, so
Here I was thinking that your friends had the right approach. Being like, that's a really good way to trick someone into playing D&D. Because if you're like, we're going to play a game, Neal presented it like, we're going to play a game, read this 300-page book, and show up next week with the character.
I think I had a pre-made character because I didn't.
I was the only one that actually read the book and made a character. Everyone else just like showed up and was like, wait, we were supposed to make characters? And so the first session was me sitting there with my character and my you can't
trust players to take responsibility for
pants for everyone.
Well, I think it's a lot nicer if you actually know everything around it. If somebody just gives you the bare bone mechanics, it's not particularly interesting, really. But
interesting. After playing D&D, board game nights are forever ruined. Like I've discovered the best game, and it's like, no, I do not want to play Railroad Tycoon board game with you.
I still like board games.
I can play Settlers. That's fine. I'm not playing Uno with Sean anymore. We're done with that one. But
whoa. What's wrong with Uno?
It destroys friendships.
Sean just likes the wrong rules is all I'm saying to that.
Whoa.
Wow. Well.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you had such strong feelings about this issue.
No, I actually won. I won last time in Boss Monster when we played it. So I won board game night. Now I can never play it ever again because if I lose afterwards, everything's got to be worse.
I thought everyone won.
No, just me.
No. Our games have winners.
Me. Yes. You can totally lose at board game night, I'm telling you. Absolutely. Yeah.
Faye is storied in that department, actually.
Excuse me, Sean. Would you like to step outside and talk about this? Oh no! But I remember Dungeons and Dragons. I remember the first cleric I ever made was called Noodles the Mighty. Yeah.
Noodles?
That was a cleric.
And you give me shit for my naming conventions? Never again, Faye. Never again. Sparkle is not even ridiculous compared to Noodles.
15 years old, Neal.
Well, I was 34. What are you expecting?
Yeah.
Neal is perpetually a college student, just like living in a progressively older man's body, though. So,
yeah.
And then I hadn't played in years, and then Roll20 came up, and then Neal came up in his campaigns, right? And then Roll20 came up, and then Sweaty Faye was sitting in front of her computer one Sunday and was like, "Can I join a game?" And I was super nervous to do it. I was so nervous. If you're out there and you're a new player and you're really nervous about joining a game, I absolutely get that. I was that nervous when I tried to get into my first game again after years.
My recommendation to make it a little bit easier is to go find some schmuck friends of yours who have never played a tabletop game before, and then
invite them over for a board game night.
Invite them over for board game night.
And what's going on?
Well, see, it's a lot easier to do it if nobody else knows anything or has any standards, because you can be bad at it and they don't know. That's how I got through my first D&D campaign.
Just being bad.
Everybody's bad when they first start. You're not going to run a good game your first time.
And you really be bad. I mean, is it really? I always hear that, but I don't think you can be really bad at D&D.
You can be bad at Dungeons and Dragons.
Come on.
You can be bad at running games.
Bad. There are Shall we discuss the different ways you can be bad at Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah,
I mean, some of those would be like arguable points. Like I would argue against doing your quantum ogres, but
you can have a poor grasp of the rules. That's certainly
that doesn't help.
That is a thing.
And I don't mind the rules.
Bad
at the rules, but when you don't know your own character and like when you like didn't even read, you couldn't even read the 3 pages in the book that describe what a rogue can do.
But that's all of roleplay.
Oh, you're talking about players. I was
shit.
talking more from the GM perspective.
Oh.
With the GM, I'd say like not knowing the rules would be a big one, especially if you wind up being inconsistent in your rulings, because then you teach people to think that nothing really matters because something that they did before might not work later.
But if it does disappoint your players, though, if nobody gives a fuck, then who cares?
Right, and that's what I mean, right? Yeah. Ultimately, you've created a problem if people think you've created a problem. So find people who don't know any better, and then they can't criticize you.
Probably I think the only way to be a really bad DM is if you constantly make your group and every group you play with unhappy. Like if you can't find a group you can play with that you know is happy with playing with you, then I think you're probably the problem.
Sure, but like happiness is an intangible thing that you can't like pursue directly. It's something you try to create as a byproduct of the things that you do. And there are like general habits and traits that I would point out in like running a game that generally facilitate having fun for most people. And then there are things that you can do that people are going to have to like put up with if they want to have fun playing your game.
Right, but you can still be mediocre, right?
Yeah, which is probably where a lot of people land.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right then. Okay,
but as long as everyone's having fun, mission accomplished.
Never DM for Sean. Tiny footnote to myself. Good talk.
Hey! I'm not being like. I'm not trying to be rude here.
Oh no, you're just being, you know, real. I like straight up people who are like, yeah, it's gonna be shit. That's fine.
This isn't me trying to talk up my own game running. By the way.
Well, we have expectations set now, Sean.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Can't wait for you to meet them.
I'm just going to keep building them so that everybody can be as disappointed as humanly possible.
Okay.
So.
Oh, awkward silence.
It's awkward. Silence is not always awkward, Ryan.
It's awkward when you're streaming.
Is it?
Only if
It's
you
only
care.
awkward when you're streaming if there's
probably
nothing
have
moving on the
music in the
camera and people are
background.
just listening to an audio podcast,
Yeah,
essentially.
just jam out, guys. You know, if we're not talking for 5 seconds, just.
Is there background music?
amongst
There's background music.
There's gentle Yuletide music playing in the background that is very peaceful and settling.
See?
Ho, ho, ho.
One thing that I had, I guess my easy cop-out note that I'd rather start with is similar to how we were talking about the cleric last time and how there's a lot of different ideas of how to implement the cleric. I think there's one that's arguably more frequently discussed as to what the hell is even going on with it in Dungeons and Dragons, and that is the ranger. And I wanted to talk about what exactly the ranger means to various people and how they like to incorporate them into their games. Oh, yeah.
Okay, you guys go first. Let me know. Set an alarm for 30 minutes and I'm going to tell you about it.
All right. First things first, let's all recognize that ranger has nothing to do with ranged attacks. Okay?
Yes, I agree.
It's like Home on the Range Ranger.
It's Aragorn is the ranger who is like ranging across.
Here's my disagreement
Middle
with
Earth.
you, Neal, is I would say that rangers are more predisposed toward guerrilla tactics, which predisposes them toward ranged attacks, but they're not fundamentally just bow users.
They're not fundamentally ranged users. The
In fact, I would say that they're not
ranger,
even necessarily better with bows than fighters are.
The quintessential ranger is Aragorn, and when does Aragorn ever use a fucking bow? No, he dual wields swords or a sword and a torch.
I'm trying to remember, but I think he does use a bow at a few points in the books.
Sword. He has a two-handed sword. He doesn't dual wield.
He can
Most of the time, he grabs his sword with two hands.
Oh no.
He also does sword and torch at some point on Weathertop, and I felt like there was some point where he dual wielded, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the movies, he uses a bow when they're in the Mines of Moria.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
it's not just Legolas with the bow and Moria.
Ranger is a fighter subclass.
Yeah.
To respond to chat over there.
But somewhere
And
over the years, it became this, Rangers, they're the archers of the world. And
That's not even true in 5e, a fighter
I know.
with bow stuff. I don't know 5e well enough to know the fighting styles, whatever, is better than a ranger.
A battle master.
I think
with a
5e really
Ranger and 5e fucked it.
Ranger. They like made the class obsolete.
One huge deficit of Rangers in 5e is that they do not get a fighting style with a two-handed weapon. They do get like
Why would you want it? Wait.
two-weapon style, but they don't get like, because that used to be a thing. For example, in 2e, if you know like original characters such as Minsk, right? He would start with two-handed sword proficiency.
I don't know who Minsk is.
Minsk.
He's the barbarian with the hamster.
With a tiny hamster?
The big dude.
Tattoo. Ball.
Yeah.
Like he's a pretty famous dude from like the...
In D&D, a ranger would dual wield or use a bow.
Yeah.
Was the classic ranger. I mean, so in 2e ranger, it's a fighter subclass that basically gets tracking. I mean, the only reason you use the class is for the tracking bonus, and you get free ambidexterity. And then a whole bunch of other fluff.
I always found the idea of dual wielding for a ranger to be very silly.
I think it comes from Lord of the Rings, right?
It's just like...
Didn't Aragorn, like weren't there scenes where he's like...
If you're a person who like lives in the
general is
wilds,
silly,
aren't you like the sort of person who primarily fights via hunting? And I don't really understand what the benefit of using two weapons is when you're, I don't know, fighting a leopard.
I mean, it's all, nobody dual wields in real life, except maybe like duelists with like...
Yeah, you use they're very like
main goosh.
It's a ritualized choice, right? You use it in like a duel scenario.
I always thought that dual wielding was more the idea that someone is more dexterous, you know, like the dexterous fighter versus the strong fighter. So you have the one fighter who's like wielding a giant hammer or whatever, and then you have someone else who is like fast and has like two lighter weapons, you know, and that's how they fight. But I don't know. It doesn't really translate like that in 2e at least.
Also, duelist is not one who dual wields. It's one who duels. D-U-E-L-S.
Yeah. But that's, you could have either in 5e, right?
Ryan was yelling at chat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
but a duelist often dual wields, right? Sword and dagger or something.
Yeah.
But if you're...
What was the original... What happened to the ranger? Or what was the question?
What like do you imagine as the sort of like quintessential features of the ranger, and how would you like try to incorporate them in your games? Like if you were going to go toward, I guess D&D kind of tells you to do it in a way that just is a little weird and awkward for everybody involved. But if you were going to build the class yourself, how would you try to like fit them into your world?
I feel like it almost shouldn't be a class, right? If it's like a fighter subclass seems like a suitable thing. It's like a fighter that's got a specific skill tree that they've gone down that enables them to...
It's like an explorer
range
class.
through the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like a wilderness guide or...
I mean, one thing that I think we're missing with that particular approach is that in pretty much every edition of Dungeons and Dragons, Rangers have had magic. They always get, I guess, essentially druid magic.
No, they
eventually.
don't. Who gets to level 9 anyways? I have the total opposite reaction. Like in theory, it says here under the class that rangers and paladins get magic, but I've never had a ranger or a paladin cast a spell.
I think that's just because high level gaming is alien to this this party.
Yeah.
In earlier edition, basic was it, or maybe the rangers were a prestige class or whatever. So you need to get like level 9 as a fighter and whatever level as a cleric, and some level as a rogue or something, and then you can spec into ranger. Which I don't know. Not a huge fan of that system, but anyways.
So I guess the issue there becomes if if we create a ranger class whose sole defining feature is like ability to survive or hunt in the woods, how do we make that like a satisfying class to play?
Oh, easy. You make everyone else get -5 on their tracking checks, so it's utterly impossible for anyone to track except the ranger. Right?
Yep.
That's satisfying.
So is tracking like the one, because like most games are not going to be like wilderness survival games, right? Like for the most part, the party is not going to find themselves frequently in the woods, needing to like forage for food and water.
I feel like the ranger needs to, it's like entrenched in the setting of the campaign. And I don't like the way the 2E player's handbook is laid out, such that like all of these like very like setting specific subclasses are presented there. I think they could have done, like the druid even says like this is an example of a priest of a specific mythos. I feel like they could have done a better job at being like, this is is that a taxidermied squirrel?
Nothing. Continue your story.
I think that's a gopher, but
a taxidermied gopher is almost weirder. Neal's a ranger in real life.
It's a wooden chipmunk.
That's his animal companion.
damn close enough.
Right, so I feel like they could have done a better job of like pulling the druid aside and being like, this is an example subclass that you could have in your campaign if druids are something you want in your campaign. In the same way, I feel like the ranger is like a fighter with campaign specific like backstory and skill sets that is like, here's an example of a particular specialty fighter that could fit in your campaign or to a particular character's backstory if you and the DM want to build out a fighter subclass that does these things. My thoughts.
How do we feel about the rangers animal handling skills, and specifically like in later editions their built-in animal companion feature?
Well, like Ryan said, the ranger is a subclass that is specific to a campaign setting. You wouldn't ever want to play ranger in a city-based campaign. So I think that the animal handling stuff and the tracking stuff all sort of makes sense in a world that you're intending on doing wilderness-based adventuring, and you need someone to sort of like carry the wilderness setting for you. But it does feel a little bit weird because like a lot of most classes have sort of incremental buffs to things. You know, you get a +1 to hit here, you get second level spells here, you get another 30 points to your thief class here. But rangers are sort of like, you solve wilderness.
Right, and it's poorly mechanized. It's just like hand waved, like you calm the animals, and like they didn't really spend much time fleshing out a system for animal reactions or animal whatever. So they just kind of threw in there that like you can do it. Maybe there's a save or something associated with it. Or...
Yeah, save is paralyzation, but your save doesn't get better. It's just it gets worse for the creature, or it gets. It's just the creature makes a save, right? So you don't have buffs.
I think it's weirdly mechanized, but I think that interacting with animals is apparently a great interest of many players, right? Otherwise we wouldn't have that stuff. And I think that like the ranger covering that is a good way of handling it in most editions, because if you don't want to go all the way down the druid route, right, then the ranger is the next best, I guess, thing.
I feel like druid and ranger are the same thing. Druid is the cleric of a nature mythos. Ranger is the fighter of a nature mythos or whatever.
I don't know. I think druids are way more like away from civilizations than rangers are. Like I can see a ranger guiding like a group of people through the forest.
I think I disagree. Like druids are entrenched in a secret society. They've almost
but all by themselves, right? Like they are part of an
they're like
enclave
part
or
of a weird cult, weird wilderness cult. Whereas a ranger is kind of a loner, at least in like stereotype pop culture.
Speaking of the weird druid cult, have you ever actually read that section on how it works in second edition? Because it's the most incredible thing. How like I think it's around level 15 you get barred from progressing in experience any further
until you challenge your supervisor to a duel so that you can rise to the level of
and I think it has to be like an unarmed
manager
fight or something.
No magic allowed, no weapons. You just gotta
you you can transform into a bear, I think, and eat each other.
Nice.
But no weapons allowed. Yeah,
if only this is how.
Fist fight in the woods. Winner becomes, assistant general manager of the Western region.
If this is how people progressed in the real world, that'd be nice. You gotta fight your boss to get anywhere.
Depending on the role, that is how people progress in the real world.
Druid Fight Club. Yeah, The trouble with druids is they're real. It was a historical thing. I mean, I guess a lot of stuff in D&D was a historical thing that's been romanticized and bastardized.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Neal, NECA's challenging you to a duel. You two have to strip off your clothes, and you meet in the woods under the full moon, and whoever wins the fist fight gets.
Yeah, whoever comes back out.
You can have it, NECA.
They're the new Koibu.
Yeah.
You can have the enclave. Nobody wants that.
You can just have it. Come on over. I'll hand you my computer. It's all yours.
But you have to keep the cat too, and the taxidermy chipmunk. They're your new animal companions.
Mm-hmm. Books not included as well, so you got to get your own library.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Nice.
But I do agree with Faye there. I have had a lot of players who follow up on the Ranger, not because of the survivalist traits or the magic that they theoretically get or actually get, depending on the edition that you're talking about. It's the animal handling and the animal companions that drive a lot of people to be inclined toward playing a Ranger. And I've seen that a shocking amount, way more than I would have expected.
I think animal companions are fine, and you could use more of them. And Neal's really resistant to it. And I know his objection is going to be, or he hates when players take animal companions and then forget about them. And then it's like, wait, where the hell is the bear? And you're like, oh, I guess it's been tied up outside of the cave for 3 days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's so. I think a key feature of early Dungeons and Dragons that we've kind of lost is the hirelings and henchmen, and that's how you get characters to high level. Because if you go adventuring, you die, so you hire a bunch of peons to
stand in front of the arrows for you.
To stand in front of the arrows, so you can continue progressing as a higher level character.
Well, and I think part of that comes down to as the game got bigger and more complicated, it became more and more of a burden to create hirelings that people took into their party. Even by the AD&D era, it took a lot longer to roll up and prep a character than it did, in BX, basic D&D.
And I feel a lot of that, I think, is unnecessary complication. But anyways. Where I was going with that is animal companion seems like an alternative to the hireling or to the henchman, right? You could hire a 3rd level fighter to be your hireling, or you could seduce a bear in the woods.
If you look at the Rangers followers list that you get for high level, right? Because Rangers do attract followers or can attract them. There's everything in there from a dog.
The Rangers followers is the weirdest table.
So there's bears, brownies, clerics, whatever that is, a dog, a druid, a falcon, fighters of every kind of race, great cats, hippogriff, Pegasus, pixie, another ranger, raven, satyr, thief, a triad.
Wait, do you say another ranger?
Yes.
And then when they get to 9th level, they get followers who are your followers.
So
exactly.
OP. Meanwhile,
treants,
the clerics,
werebears, or other creatures. Try bringing your treant into the tavern. I want to see how that works out. Or you just roll shit and you just get a fucking dog. Good luck.
So random. So random. And so OP. Some of it's so OP. And the power range is so different too. Like a treant compared to a dog. Meanwhile, the clerics are like, oh, you just get 10d10 0th level fanatics.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Totally the same power level as a pixie.
If you roll a 54, you get a gnome fighter. The disappointment is gonna be immeasurable. Oh god.
Wizards Wizards make magical items.
Yeah, wizards get no henchmen. They don't even get anything toward building.
They can make golems and stuff at super high levels.
Wizards
are fine. I feel like the followers are weird. It's weird that it's there in the core class rule books. I feel like those should have been in high level campaigns or something.
Mm-hmm. What do bards get? Thieves don't get followers, do they?
Thieves do.
Oh no, they can start a
Bards
thieves
don't.
guild.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happens with bards.
Neal, why did you get rid of the followers?
I didn't.
Where are my
He just
followers?
says-
Where are my
says they don't come.
followers?
What are you
They
talking
don't
about?
come
Who?
naturally.
I got a 15th level rogue and I got no
I'm a
followers.
10th level
You
cleric.
are the follower, Ryan. Have you not realized?
Wait, are you talking about
I'm the
Grimes? Why
follower.
didn't he get followers on a demon plane? You had a whole bunch of Null babies with you.
Those were the followers?
Those were your
Thieves Guild?
followers.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
And you killed them all.
Was legit
What
follower.
about Van Helsing and his mansion in the place with the name?
Yeah,
of
where's Van
Von Theris?
Helsing's? Where's his beauty cult?
Where's his 10d10 beautiful followers?
Yeah, why do I still have to cast solipsism to get my palanquin of incredibly buff, shirtless, oiled up
Yeah,
men
just-
who carry him around
Just
everywhere?
have real men who carry the palanquin.
I
right?
assume that his followers showed up after you retired the character.
Yeah.
Unfailing endurance palanquin
be.
all day. Lovely.
Mhm.
I see in Tombs of Square you're kind of introducing, or you're starting to. I don't know.
Yeah, the followers
Like,
are trickling in.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a thing. We're getting ready for them.
Have we had any other high level characters that need followers? I'm trying to think.
Soft intending on these 8 randoms that they found to be followers of some kind. But I don't know if they want to transport them back to the other other world, other continent. But if they could, there's followers right there.
So look up. I think at 10th level, bards just get reading and using magical devices and shit.
You
Someone's
get followers.
saying-
You get followers. You learn how to read.
Yeah, 50% chance. Nice. Oh no, it's actually 15% wrong. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone's saying
okay,
bards get soldiers. I don't know.
Or maybe in
Bards should
another
get
book,
groupies.
not in this one.
I maintain that.
Groupies. Bards should totally get groupies. I like
Nice.
Songaro suggesting wizards getting an apprentice. I feel like that would be right. Like when a wizard reaches 9th level, a 1st level apprentice shows up.
Just
Something
out
like
of the
that.
woodwork. Teach me. I'll do whatever you want. I'll do your lab work. Just show me.
No, you
What
murder
is
them
it?
for their 10,000 GP spellbook.
Oh boy. What is
Oh,
the
God.
what is the implication if bards start with 50% climb walls? I wonder.
That's the baseline is 45.
And thieves
Yeah,
start
but,
with
like,
baseline
because
60,
they are
so
thief. I get that, but I'm just saying, you know.
it means they're used to getting out of sticky
That's a very
situations
specific
by
thing.
Yeah, it's
fleeing.
a thief skill based thing essentially, and bards have like worse thief skills, but they have them.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying, like, you know, having a really good detect noise makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So by the writing, I think bards are supposed to be like thieves, but you're more everyman thieves.
At
So,
9th
like-
level, bards get 10d6 0th level soldiers.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And they learn how to read. Oh, at 10th level.
They learn how to read.
Do they
but
learn
you
how
get,
to
like,
read
magical
magic,
stuff,
or are we
right?
just talking about read in general?
Reading magic. Scrolls and books.
Is Rogue really underwhelming in 2e? I mean, the thing with Rogue is that they are...
It depends on the campaign. I guess.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Say what. sorry for
They have
interrupting,
some really powerful opportunities in certain styles of campaign. If you are going like dungeon delving a lot and you're going through like trap-ridden hell mazes, rogues can save the day. And if you're hanging out in towns and you have opportunistic thieves who want to shake things up and scrape some money out of civilization for the party, rogues can do great work. And because they level up so damn fast, they can make a lot of experience doing it from the individual experience rewards, and they can like become powerful characters who bulk up the rest of the party. But you're never going to become like the guy who walks into caves and like slays dragons. Like that's not what the rogue is for.
Mm-hmm.
So thieves have a bunch of like class specific abilities, so it really depends on the campaign. Like if the DM sets up traps and locked doors, then the rogue is the only one that can open those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
or
if
like
your
the
DM
wizard has
doesn't
to
engage
like
that-
sacrifice spell slots to do it.
Yeah,
Whereas,
there's
yeah.
that.
I think it's also that we don't tend to. I don't know how it was back then, but in my experience, we don't tend to play with traps as much as they are usually mentioned in the book. Like a trap is a rather rare thing to come up, right? You might have like 3 sessions where there's not a single trap in it. Whereas if you play like a game, like a video game with Dungeons and Dragons stuff, there's like traps everywhere. You know, play Baldur's Gate, there's a trap on every corner.
I exclusively use traps in places that like intelligent creatures live in. Like if you go to a kobold lair, it will have traps because kobolds are going to set traps.
But not if you go to a bear lair.
No, and not if you go to like an ancient dungeon, right? It's not going to have, you're not going to step on the tile that sinks into the floor and causes us, I don't know. It's not the Indiana
Not an
Jones thing
Indiana
for me.
Jones fan.
Yeah.
We got it.
I'm more like the tripwire that causes a crossbow to shoot you from down the hall.
Lovely. So bot attracts 10d6. Oh, so the bot really does get just groupies. It's like zeroth level soldiers. 10d6.
They're warriors, or soldiers, whatever.
But they have 0th level.
So
like,
the priests are also
ranger, at least you get
right. The
roll on
ranger
that
and the thief
level.
too. The thief can get some mid-level characters. A cleric gets 20 to 200 0th level soldiers.
Cannon fodder.
20 to 200 followers?
Yep.
There's no gap in between
I
that,
think the
right?
implication is they're fanatics or something.
I always found this
they're ready to
idea
go on your
really
crusade.
silly because like this it's such an awkward and clunky and specific system for like this is clearly when the cleric is supposed to be starting their religion, and that feels like a whole adventure of its own, right? Like they're supposed to be building up their own temple and stuff, and that feels like something that should be different than just roll 20 d10.
Interesting concepts.
And it's a good suggestion, but it's so weird that it's like mechanized as one of the cores of the class. I mean, I guess the idea is like once you're a 9th level fighter, you've ascent. They're assuming so much about the campaign setting that like once you're 9th level, you have inherited a barony or you've conquered something, and you build this and you get a stronghold and you get your men at arms or whatever.
Yeah, the stronghold seems very much ingrained in the whole thing, right? If you read through it, it's like, yes, bards can totally have a stronghold. It's like nobody asked. Yeah. Yes, you can have a stronghold if you're a ranger, right? But it doesn't attract any followers. It's like, what? Whoever thought that would be a thing? But okay, thank you very much.
I have played another game that did something similar and tried a little bit harder with like they specifically put ideas like at a certain point fighters should have an opportunity to be titled around this level, and when your fighter is getting there you should turn this into an adventure, is something that like I've seen other books do. But yeah, no, it is very odd in 2e where it's just at 9th level fighters inherit a castle.
Yeah, I think the book says you by this point you have permission to build it or something.
You can build it at any time. Your followers start showing up if you are 9th level.
Oh, okay. If you have built a castle by 9th level, then followers will show up.
Or I think followers will show up to build your castle for you.
No, you build it first and they come.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
You're a cool guy. Can we build you a castle?
Just where at? Just wherever. Throw it. Not in the swamp though. Anywhere but the swamp.
Sorry, we already built it in the swamp. There's a dragon there too.
Oh no!
Took over the castle right away. You're gonna have to do something about it.
Castle, get wrecked.
Yeah.
That's.
Ooh, Greg's in the chat.
Uh-oh.
What?
Uh-oh.
Raekwon's ready for his.
He's probably
hot
laying in bed, just chilling, getting mad at hot takes about rangers.
I did actually. I'm gonna make Greg sad here because I did actually. We started talking about this, and it reminded me of a recurring issue I've run into running games. Have you ever managed to create a stronghold or like a castle or a fortress in a tabletop game and give it to the player characters and make it like an interesting gameplay element? Like, have you ever had your characters? Because this is something that I see in tabletop or video games a lot, right? Like in Pillars of Eternity, you get Cadnawa, the fortress, and that becomes your castle that you can like renovate and build up. And like various other RPGs have done this, but I've tried it in tabletop games, and I've never made them fun or interesting, in my opinion.
When we were younger pre-stream, we had some campaigns where we like, is there castles and strongholds or something? There's some 2e book that like details all the costs for buildings of various size and like cost per square footage of wall. And so we've definitely like gotten campaigns to the point where it's like, all right, time to spend the next 3 weeks mapping out our castle and calculating how many square feet the wall is and how much it costs to build and how long. And but if I've got a wizard, I get 5 or 5 times my manpower.
That +1 longsword is going to help you out building your castle. It's a 5 man hours a week that you get out of this weapon, and your horn of blasting gives you like 100 man hours a week.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. So we've had fun doing that.
That almost feels like you've taken building you've turned D&D into a poor man's Minecraft for a little bit to build up your castle. But I was talking more like the owning and administration of a castle, right? Like owning a base of operations and like having it be a place in the world that you operate from and do things with. Have you ever made it more than just like the place the players go to rest?
I mean,
my players never get there.
What about, Misty Rapids is it's a hell of a place to visit this time of year.
Yeah.
Fancy a vacation. I mean, we kind of settled in there and made I don't know.
For a short while until it all went to hell.
Literally. I mean, but that's part of the charm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't played around much with that, but I also feel like that becomes a very like game-changing moment where it's not so much like I'm out there doing things. It's like I'm in here working in this. Like you go from ranging all over the area to like being settled in one spot, and then the management of an estate is not particularly fun. And like sending out other people to do your dirty work isn't particularly fun.
Who has run a game that involved a lot of cattle raiding. I think I disagree about mundane activities not being fun.
Yeah, like the whole Mousifer campaign was kind of like we started as a noble with an estate.
Yeah, and I don't think that
fun campaign.
Mundane things can be fun, but I think if you go from like we just slew the beholder of the 9 hells, and now we're coming back home. Oh, build a castle, quaint. Now we'll settle down. Oh, you have problems with your cattle? Lovely. I just went from slaying beholders to dealing with like property rights of my servants or my peons.
Yeah, that's where transitions become important.
Yeah,
or like time skips. It's a different kind of game, but.
I think the Fro base had potential to become a proper, not castle, but a proper like home base with more options to play with. Because I think what makes a base important is not just the mechanics you put into like, oh, you need 5,000 gold to establish the stables, but also you need to put people in there that are interesting and that, shape characters. So if you do have like, a weaponsmith there, or if you have like apprentices or whatever in the base, whatever your base might be, I think that can like contribute it to making it a place people want to come back to for more than just putting experience in or putting money into, right? Like Greg's character in Fro had a little garden there, and he had Amelie, right? And was looking forward to interacting with her when he came back. And then there was like, people you always fought with, and there was Zaz, and those were all people that kind of can be part of like a home base as well, and that you can also interact with and put money into and develop if you want to, right?
Yeah, that felt like less of a stronghold and more like a stand-in for the town or for the tavern or...
Sure, but like that I don't think Sean specifically means it has to be a stronghold, right? Like it was talking about a place you party, like a base before, right? Yeah. And that's something you could do, even though it was not the intention with the Fro fort. I feel like you can have something like that in your world, right? And like orient yourself with that. I think that's possible. But it's important that there is something there. So I had one campaign where we did have a homestead, and it had like unlockable options as well, where you could build things. And I think my character, I was playing a paladin at the time, and she built like a church and then attracted followers to that place and built her own paladin order, I think. And that was like a long-term goal for her. And at some point, the base actually got attacked, right? So what they did was, the party was away from the base, right? We did one session where everybody played their favorite NPC and everybody was fighting for their lives. And that was so much fun. That was really cool, because you get to be the blacksmith, and it's like, okay, you're playing Jeff now, right? Jeff is your favorite character from the homestead. The orcs are attacking. Best of luck. You get his character sheet. You're just going straight forward. That was so much fun. So that's like a really cool thing to do, to mix up a session where you're like, oh, do you like the NPC? Because now you have to defend them.
Oh,
it is your responsibility. That was really fun.
That feels like a like one of those short tangents in like a TV show where you go to like, let's follow these other side characters as they go through their own ordeal while the main characters are off doing something else.
Yeah. It was surprisingly fun. It's also nice if you play like a long running campaign, you get to do like a little one shot in between, right? So that was pretty cool. I like that, and that's something you can do if you have people attached to followers and stuff, right?
That's a nice way to solve what Neal proposed is the problem. Like, your main characters are off slaying the beholder, and then you like have your 3rd level Castellan do like a one shot doing like the cattle rustling or whatever, and make it like a separate campaign or a separate one shot within the same setting without like raining on the beholder slayers parade.
Then you get your 9th or 10th level character, and then you have your like 3rd or 4th level characters within your estate and castle, and you could even do one shots as the 1st level guards who are going out to actually deal with the cattle rustling goblins. That could be cool.
And it's a nice way to go away from, because everything, if you're high level, many things are very high stakes, right? So it can be a little bit, for me, it's a little bit draining to play high level campaigns all the way through all the time. And I'm like, I just want to go back to level 1 to 3. Sometimes I miss.
There's definitely that like sweet spot between 3 and 7 for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, so if you get tired of that sometime, of being like, oh my god, I have all this experience I put 2 years of work into this character. If I die next session, I'm gonna be so mad, But if you can like just be like, I just want to kill some goblins, guys, then you can be like, okay, your cleric gets like a message from the village next, like one town over, and they need a cleric for this, and you're like you gather like 2 other people from the homestead, and the 3 of you go off to do this quest, to improve the homestead's whatever reputation or whatever, like, that's nice. So you can I think you can work with homesteads and just make them their own little thing if you have a long running high level campaign.
You have to get everyone in the same homestead, right? Because if you got like 4 fighters, they all sort of need to have the same castle. Otherwise, you're just playing with one person's castle the whole time through.
Yeah, but it's still weird if you're like a group of high-level characters that have played for the entire time together and everybody gets their separate castle. It's like, I'd rather them all have the same castle, okay? And then,
probably something that's easier to do if you just start off with people in the castle, and then like there's one person who's going to inherit it, and that's fine. People are okay with like
you can also
sort of hierarchy imposed.
You can also chop it up and be like, there's a bigger castle, and within that, like the fighter's got his guard whatever thing, and the cleric gets a
this is where you need a well-balanced party where the fighter builds a castle, the cleric gets like the church part of the castle, the wizard gets a random tower, and the rogue hangs out in town with the other people, but like has his own little underground stronghold over there. And then you can merge all 4 classes, super classes well. But if you have 4 fighters, then you need to be like, we're 4 siblings. An older sibling has the castle, and we all get followers.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. So I say that definitely can be fun. But you need to bring it further than just the economics part where you're like, please pay 4,000 gold. Thank you very much.
Deep in thought, Neal? Or scratching your brain for topics?
I mean, this is sort of where Toss is heading, Tombs of Scoria is heading, is in this direction where they're starting to like get back home assistance, like their mom has decided to help organize their affairs, and a keep is probably in order fairly soon considering the amount of gear that they've got and whatnot, and their like little house is maybe not sufficient.
If you're multi-classed, do you get the followers from both classes?
There's actually a thread about this that I've just seen somewhere. There's a thread about this in the handbook somewhere.
Okay.
I'm trying to find it. Might take a while.
Cool. Yeah, I think you should just give them followers. I mean, they'll get them killed or something, but yeah, just be like, here, have 100 men-at-arms. Have
I think that's fun. Yeah.
So are we
fighters-
are we looking at strongholds then as like a place to create adventures, essentially primarily out of? It's a home base for the player characters that like has the occasional sort of side adventure for the people who live inside of it? Or do we want to look at ways that we could like mechanize your own little corner as like its own thing entirely, kind of similar to the Book of the Manor thing for Pendragon?
I don't know Pendragon well enough.
Pendragon has like a Book of the Manor, which is all about like what kind of resources does like your knightly manor have, and here's how you could set up a logging operation to increase your income, or like it's.
I feel like you should gloss over these details.
You're a gloss over kind of guy for that.
Like here. Well, it depends on the campaign. Tombs of Scoria in particular, it's about slaying a dragon and getting magical items. So I think it'd be easier to just be like, you come back and your mom's rented out a keep for you and hired you 100 men-at-arms or something like that. Here's your army.
Okay.
And I mean, didn't Anton's got his weird raiders? Was that your thoughts for like his Velthara cult?
That was an early setup, early lead for Velthara followers or clerical followers. You
could also merge them together.
What do you mean?
And just like figure out how many fighter followers there should be, figure out how many cleric followers, and just all right, they're all raiders. This is how many of them are fighters. This is how many of them are fanatic cultists, and they're all just one big group of Vikings or whatever.
Yeah.
The Thieves Guild gets tougher because then it's like you get 46 of these very specific leveled characters.
Right. It's a little weird.
You can also hand wave it, like, okay, we'll flesh out a couple of them as needed, but in general, you've got this network.
Here's Hank and Daryl. Everyone else is unnamed.
Until you need to name them, or until Hank dies, and then you roll on the table to figure out what level his replacement is.
Yep. Then Bill shows up, and then what's the other guy's name? Dunehauser? Boomhauser. There we go.
Boom.
Right?
Yeah.
Boomhouse?
Like that.
Boomhauer. Must be a German name. Boomhauer. No? H-A-U-E-R? That looks Germanic.
H-A-U-M-R.
E-R. Hauer.
Yeah, but the first part...
Boomhauer. This is King of the Hill.
I'm pretty sure Boom is not particularly...
I don't think it's like a real name. I don't know if anyone's ever been named Boomhauer other than this guy.
I think it's a nickname. There's some kind of backstory. Isn't he work for the... Isn't he like in the CIA or something?
What? No.
Yeah,
no, that's Dale. Maybe Dale Gribble's in the CIA, but not Boomhauer.
No,
He's
Boomhauer's
too dumb.
like an FBI agent.
No.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
American anime.
What American
What
anime?
What is this?
You've never heard of King of the Hill? Okay,
no, I've never watched it. Yeah, I've seen I know. I've seen some memes, but I've never watched it. Yeah.
He's not in the CIA or FBI. People are lying to you. He's like an electrician or something.
Is he a Texas Ranger? Hold on, there's some... His occupation is not clear.
Has a Texas Ranger badge in his wallet.
Okay, is that a thing?
Worked as an electrician. First name is Jeff. No, that's it. No one knows what he does. And it doesn't matter, because you can barely understand him anyway.
Occupation Texas Ranger. It says on his Wikipedia page. Back to we come full circle. Rangers.
So what does Boomhauer tell you about the Ranger class? That he's perpetually single?
I'll tell you
Can't
what.
settle down?
Oh
man. King of the Hill is some hot American commentary, which I did not pick up on when I watched it as a kid. And I've watched a couple episodes as an adult, and it's solid. It's right up there with dinosaurs.
Oh, man. Oh, I've never watched Dinosaurs, but I've seen some clips from that. And boy, that got real straightforward with its critiques of American.
Oh, the whole
American
thing. The whole thing is so straightforward with it. You know, it's really good. Dinosaurs is a great show. It's on Disney Plus now?
Disney Plus now?
Wow. You know what it's also on? My external hard drives. Who needs Disney Plus?
That's me with the 2003 Clone Wars series.
Mm-hmm.
As if I did not already make local copies.
What are you looking up, Ryan?
Fighter followers. They get a leader, they get their troops, and they get an elite unit. So it's all these tables, but it's usually like 1 5th to 7th level fighter with magic items, 1 unit of like, I don't know, 50 to 100 or more, mix of infantry and cavalry, and then an elite unit of like there's a bunch of different things. Cavalry,
so fancy,
or berserkers, or archers, infantry. Fun stuff.
There's an entire chapter on how to build a dwarven fortress, and it even has a name generator in it that you can, like a table you can roll on.
Do I have news for you, Faye? As it turns out, there's an entire game about how to build a dwarven fortress.
Are you gonna run that for me?
As a video
game called
you can run it yourself.
Dwarf Fortress or something like that.
Yeah, Dwarf Fortress.
It's pretty cool.
Very interesting to read. Apparently dwarves have like they have something called like a half guard, which is like always a female dwarf, and she's one of the strongest fighters around, and she's like in charge of like.
What is this based on?
I have no idea. I'm just looking through the 2E, complete edition. So.
This is second edition.
Complete
stuff.
Dwarves Handbook.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Don't trust anything you read. Don't trust anything you read there.
Though.
What do you mean? Don't trust anything? That's how we get our elf that can make 36 attacks on a good round and only 12 on the off round.
No, I'm just saying that is some really interesting stuff. You don't have to do it that way, but they have some cool shit in there, and it has some general good ideas on how to. Like what people to put into strongholds, right? Like what people you might need and shit.
Okay.
It is quite interesting.
Interesting. That's actually who would have thought that the D&D supplement on building your own stronghold for second edition would be in the complete book of dwarves.
There is a whole it might not be official, but there's a whole strongholds and I don't even remember, castles and strongholds or something like that. There's a 2E book that has all this stuff.
Oh, does it?
That's where I was. It's got all the like, how much does it cost to build a?
I don't think I have that.
I don't think it's on Purple Worm either.
Yeah, it's not there. It might be unofficial. We'll see. Neal's probably got it on the shelf there.
AD&D, castles, and it could be a first edition thing as well.
Castle Builder's Guide is the name of it.
Castle Builder's Guide.
The Castle Stronghold Builder's Guide. The Castle Guide. Maybe it's just the Castle Guide? I thought it was
The Castle Guide, I think is what it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition. I'm trying to find the publisher, but
TSR, I think.
yeah, you can still get it in paperback for the low price of $45.
Jesus.
I mean, Ryan, you might have also, like, name-wise, you might have also heard from the Strongholds and Followers 1 for 5e, which is a Matt Colville one.
Yeah, that's
where the name might, ring a bell.
yeah, that's what I was. Yeah. Neal, do you have the castle guide?
Yes. Castle Builder's
Yeah.
Guide? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, trying to figure out what it is. But,
Well, let me show you.
wait, you're not going to get your physical copy out with the
Oh, I
gold
will.
pages and the dicks and the margins?
Hand drawn by Tracy Hickman himself.
Did you draw?
Tracy Dickman.
Sorry, did you draw
Nice one, Ryan.
graffiti into your
No,
precious
I don't.
tabletop rule books?
No, I was.
Because if a
No.
player drew a dick on any of my like RPG books, I might have to kill them on the spot.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
reasonable.
No, we didn't write in the books. We just opened them so many times that the spines fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There you go.
Oh.
That is Castle Builder Guide. It'll be there in a minute.
Why would you link this to me, Neal? I'm not going to build a castle because you're not going to give me any followers anyways. I'm joking.
Maybe you want to copy the PDF. All right.
Why download a free PDF when you could buy the physical copy for only $45?
Because it comes like this. Look at this. Someone else has highlighted it.
That is some old school formatting right there. That's AD&D first edition style formatting right there.
I don't know who highlighted this because I got this used, but the things that they've decided to highlight are the tables and just all the entries in all the tables for some reason, like over here, down over here. Just highlight the tables, and then the fall taxes, but not the winter taxes, and only half of the summer taxes. All produce, rents, and profits from the lands themselves are taxed at a rate about 1 silver per pice of gold piece earned, or about 10%. This mostly
this is some
affects the
quality
random
AD&D
landowners
shit here.
and therefore the nobility.
Oh no, I'm looking at this book and it's this formatting.
So AD&D.
This is I have a hard
beautiful.
time believing this is 2nd edition.
It's beautiful, though.
Back.
Look at this. We got some
Even the
surprisingly
art is very
good
first
artwork.
edition style with its like black and white, thick black lines.
How do we
Are you
get
missing the chainmail bikini? Or
Yeah, look at this. They're fully
you know-
clothed. There is no sexual
this?
exploitation in this photo whatsoever. It's the Castle Builder's Guide. They're just happy.
This
No
guy's not.
cleavage, no exposed anything, no bulging muscles, just nice people. It's wonderful. Gem,
I think
1986.
the lady on the AD&D of one of the AD&D 2nd edition books actually is not even wearing a chainmail bikini. I think she just has her boobs out.
Are you saying in all of the artwork or in on a cover page? What do you mean?
No, one of the yeah, I wanted to on one of the cover pages, I think. Yeah,
Well,
tasteful, very good.
Tome of Magic sort of has it. She's got like a nightie that she's wearing or something. It's close.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, very. What is that supposed to be?
Well, it's Tome of Magic, so she's clearly some sort of sorceress who's fighting this worm and this old man, and she just,
In a curtain, very effective. Yeah. I
yeah,
like
she's
it.
got the curtain with the tape inside so that it sticks to the underside of her boob and conforms
it's called
properly.
Sticky tape, yes.
Right.
I
She's
know
got
this.
that double-sided sticky tape back from the medieval era.
Yep.
I
Nice.
hear it's comfortable, so I can't exactly fault her.
What, sticky tape?
Everyone knows sticky tape on the underboob is super comfortable.
Well, the curtain in general
Yeah.
as well. It's very comfortable to just wear a nice translucent curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Sure.
if you're a fire-based spellcaster, you would need a lot of airflow so it doesn't get too hot.
So, has anyone built the castle yet?
No, I'm looking for this fabled artwork.
I'm looking at this book, and it's so dense in terms of getting through it, and like I can already tell you without even like actually reading this book that it's gonna be. It was written pre-internet. How good could it really be?
Right. Well, what I do like about the Castle Builder's Guide is their entire section on taxes is really useful and informative because it helps you really understand how. No, for like either doing it in character, in game, and also as just like a nice flashback to how taxes would have been done, where it's not just everyone pays income tax at the end of the year, but it's like you want to come to town on market day, there's a tax to come in town. There's a tax to cross this bridge. This particular road has a tax. Like it's less of a flat system and more of a how you interact with the world system.
Your, bridge crossings and lag?
A little bit, yeah.
Did you learn your lesson?
I just learned that you guys will whine about anything, so I can do whatever I want because you're going to whine about it anyway.
Fair enough.
You know what I prefer compared to that? My like go-to top tier AD&D like setting building chapter is the clothing section of the arms and equipment guide.
I do. So building my new lag character, I discovered why I was so mad about Izuel's scale mail, because I went into the player's handbook and purchased my new character some +2 scale mail for 80 gold. You know what it's called? It's called splint mail. Literally the same shit. We waited a month in game for that snakeskin armor, and it's splint mail.
Nice.
Same weight, +2 AC.
When you say +2 AC, what do you mean in this situation?
Splint mail weighs like 40 pounds or whatever it is, and it gives you AC 16. Scale mail weighs 40 pounds, gives you AC 14. So when you were like, oh, here's +2 scale mail, it's got the same stats as splint mail.
Nice.
Is it the same in Neal's economics guide? Because you fucked over armor
Neal's
a few
economics.
I stripped out all that weird shit. I just went leather chain plate, and we scrapped the in-betweens.
It's kind of fine, but it takes all of like the flavor out of it.
Yeah, but I wanted to introduce partial armor systems because I thought that would be fun, and then it really needed to be simplified in order to account for the partial armor. Yeah, I agree. It was fun for a while.
The solution is, I don't know. Like,
I'm ready to move on.
Obviously,
if
the
you're like
solution is to
outfitting men at arms, and it's like, all right, everyone either has plate or they've got scraps of leather.
Yeah, you're like mass buying. I guess you don't really do mass armor production or like mass armor purchases for groups of soldiers.
But if you got like a
got their own.
PC, it feels kind of lame to just be like, I'm wearing chainmail. And so it gets hard to imagine a cool looking character when they've got a stupid little chainmail hood on. And
Don't forget your chainmail coif when you go out adventuring.
yeah, right.
Packed you some hardtack and some cheese.
But I remember, I think armor was just insanely heavy when I tried to get it, even on my cleric with like 16 strength.
That's the point.
I didn't even get all the partial armor I wanted, and I went for leather limbs because it was so heavy.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be encumbered.
Oh, here we go, Sean. I found it. You wanted that boot hose and those breeches.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanted to read about their sumptuary laws and the like academical dress, peasant clothing. I'm there for it.
These hose are cloth stockings worn inside the boot to protect the silk stocking underneath. They're not visible outside the boot and are generally used only by the upper class.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Give me that.
So, give me them hose.
And you'll be proficient in making these?
Yes,
Is that
there's
a
a tailor
thing?
and seamstress.
There's a section about
proficiency.
buckles. A seemingly inconspicuous piece of a person's clothing. Buckles actually hold great significance. The buckle is one of the items that denotes wealth and status within society. Materials used to create buckles include silver, gold, iron, steel, copper, and even ceramic. Along with the basic form of the buckle, these items might be engraved, inset with jewels, or otherwise adorned.
That's why the pilgrims were so wealthy. They just put buckles on their hats just to show off their wealth.
So, what are these sumptuary laws?
Ooh, a
They write it as the sumptuary laws, historically passed from 1300 to 1700 AD, were designed to restrict the import of foreign goods, and more importantly, to maintain a social class structure by permitting only members of a certain class level and position to wear specific garments, fabrics, and styles. Similar to how like certain styles of clothes or certain colors of clothes could only be worn by certain people, and if you wore, say, like this color, despite being just a peasant, you could face legal penalty for doing so. Yeah, so like your PCs who travel in their nice purple tunics over to a neighboring kingdom only to be immediately arrested for breaking the sumptuary laws of their neighbor.
That sounds like fun D&D. Right, yeah. Oh, you didn't know you're not allowed to wear a purple hood on Fridays in this town? Straight to jail with you.
I like that. That sounds very
it's actually I genuinely like the clothing section. It's one of those, like, it's very over the top in the same way that everything they wrote for AD&D was like needlessly specific and over the top. But it's good, like, it's good stuff for world building. It's that thing that like doesn't seem important from a game design perspective, but would be very important to the people who live inside of that world, and that's kind of important for building that sense of immersion for me.
Hoods are used to keep the head dry.
What were?
Hoods are used to keep the head dry and warm in inclement weather.
I'm glad they mentioned it. I would have known what to do with those.
I feel like... Carry on, Neal.
Hoods were originally a simple head covering, but evolved into more elaborate designs, such as the hood with a small cape attached. See Leary Pipe or Leary Pippi for a specific version of a popular hood.
A hood with a tiny cape attached. Nice. I know what they're talking about, but I'm not sure it's like...
Is it what this chick is wearing right here? Is that the hood with the tiny cape attached?
Oh, I like the man with the noodle out the back of his head.
But that's the Leary Pippi. That's the Leary Pippi or whatever it is.
It's the Leary Pipe.
Leary Pipe? I don't know how to pronounce it. This is a hood with a long peak that can reach a length of 2 to 6 feet. The length of the peak varies with the fashion of the day. Jokers, jugglers, and other performers especially favor the Leary Pippi. Cost 5 to 10 silver.
You glossed right over the cannons, Neal. These cannons are tube-like breeches that fit snugly over a man's thighs, down to his knees. This article of clothing is usually embroidered in colored silk, gold, or silver thread, chiefly worn by the upper classes.
Wow.
Snuggly over a man's thighs. Okay.
Or the gorget. It's a collar-like article of clothing for the neck, full and broad in the front. This originally referred to a piece of armor that protected the neck, but it also applies to the articles of clothing men and women of the upper class wear around the neck. Gorget.
The Arms and Equipment Guide is one of the only like 2e expansion books that I own a physical copy of because it's just that good. It's just that good.
But it's not. Aside from the clothing section, this book sucks.
Right,
but the clothing section is all you need.
Combat and Tactics introduced a ton of extra weapons and like armor pieces. The Arms and Equipment in the Arms and Equipment Guide are shit. Apparently it's the fashion section.
The Arms and Equipment Guide is just the explanation guide for all the gear. Yeah. Where it's like a knife. Let me give you 5 paragraphs on, different weapons, on a knife.
But like,
there's some cool pictures.
There's good pictures, yeah. Especially like from the perspective of the early 1990s. If you were one of those homes that had not, been like an early adopter for the internet, getting those images.
That is not the one I'm referring to.
This is not the cool picture. Look at this knight.
That is awesome. That is
Look
awesome.
at this guy and the Yetis
10
fighting.
Out of 10. Hold on, I gotta get my copy now. 1 second.
Well, I think it's also it depends on how well you know these things. Like if you live in a country like Germany, I bet you that you've seen plenty of medieval weapons in your time, right? Like I've seen plenty of weapons. But if you're like not from there, then you might have, difficulties understanding what certain weapons are.
This one's cool. Skeletal knight with the lantern on a stick, riding the barded
no, he's not wearing a skeleton.
Even his horse has plate mail, and yet he can't afford a proper handle for his lantern. It's literally a stick. It's like a crooked ass stick.
Yeah, because all his money went into the barding,
The art I was referring to is like the black and white pictures of like here's all the different styles of swords.
Or like the cool horse barding and the lizard barding. Yeah.
Oh yeah, in case you want to know what lizard barding looks like. Here's a picture. Or you're a giant lizard.
I'm still stuck in like the Barding. Oh, that's perfect right there. Look at that one.
That's what
Yeah.
Neal just
That is
showed.
he
Oh, okay.
already
That's-
showed it.
that's-
2
I wasn't
seconds
looking. I went to go get my own
What
coffee.
about the dwarves trying to open a
Because
door?
You guys have the same taste. That's all.
A pack
look
of
at that. That
gnomes
is,
meets a regular sized door, and they're stuck.
Is that a buckle
We can't
on
reach
his
the
head?
handle. Here, get on my
It's got his
shoulders.
depiction of various types
Why
of
do I
arrowheads.
have to be on the bottom?
Oh, nice.
There's the sort of pictures I
Very
enjoy.
good.
Here's the different styles of arrowheads. Here's every style of knife you could imagine.
Oh yeah. I just came across
yes.
all the knives.
What about the
Oh, that's
epic
cool.
gnome armor?
Ooh, that's good. That's
That's a
good.
slash and
That's a
death.
lot of
That's some
buckles. You must
Morrowind
be
style
very
shit.
wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And very strong because carrying all these buckles is going to be heavy.
Actually, the gnomish workman's leather armor is an interesting entry here. It's sort of ridiculous. I'm not going to bother reading it because it's too many paragraphs, but it's worth the read if you've got a copy.
Does it have some special powers?
No, it's
Extra
basically
compartments?
like you're wearing like a leather work gown that just has so many pockets for so many different tools that you put the tools
counts as
in, and then the
studded leather.
tools count as like armor for you, essentially.
That's pretty cool.
You know, I mean, we are making fun of that and how bad that is. Or not how bad it is, but how detailed it is on so many unnecessary things. But if there was one book I could wish for in 5e, it would be an arms and equipment guide and an extended equipment list.
I think so.
That would be
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
I
Do you
would
not want
appreciate
like
that.
a write-up on crampons with their like detailed drawings to explain how they function?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Sure.
cool. For all of
Genuinely would be a
5e's
good addition to
flaws,
5e.
I feel like their streamlined equipment is actually pretty nice. Like, I don't know. I almost feel like Neal should use 5e armor and weapons just because they made everything fit a niche, and like there's a trade-off for every weapon.
They're all interchangeable because they're all the same damn thing.
Not exact. Well, yeah, it's like you can choose if you've got one-handed weapon, it's D8, and you can choose your slashing, bludgeoning, piercing.
Yeah.
You have
For
two-handed
what-
weapon, they're all D10, and you can choose your.
And I feel comfortable with that. Like if you want to pick
And
a
the armors are all just like they all go up, and they're cost prohibitive, and like light, medium, heavy. Here's the trade-offs.
Mhm.
I feel like they had a good idea with the weapon tag system, but they didn't do enough to make weapons feel distinct from each other, which kind of made the whole weapon tag system weird and unnecessary.
Yeah.
I mean, if you port the 5e weapons into 2e, you know, as they are, that might work because they still in 2e slashing, bludgeoning, piercing actually matters, whereas in 5e that's a very, very minor like it's
Pretty
tiny,
minor in
tiny
2e.
point.
It only matters versus like skeletons or versus.
It matters even less.
I guess there's
in
option-
5e.
Yeah, I guess there's a
That's
lot
true.
of optional rules. Like if you really want to do a bunch of optional rules for like +1 to +2, you can do different weapon types versus different
Chainmail
armors.
gives you this AC against this weapon type and this AC against this weapon type.
Right, and something like Warhammers give you +2 versus plate mail, but no one ever bothers to read that or lawyer that or even use a Warhammer.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not really just arms and it's also the equipment part. Like I've ran into plenty of situations where I was trying to find an item on the list that is an essential item to any adventurer, and you can't find it because it's not on the equipment list, and you'll have to just make up a price all the time. But first you have a look to see if it's on there, and then it's not on there, and then you make up a price again, you know? Because the equipment table is like really small for the adventuring gear and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Okay. So it doesn't look like we're gonna. Oh wait, no, we are. I
Nick
was.
just pinged, but he's
Nick
20 minutes
just
away.
pings us.
Are we still talking in 20 minutes? Let's wrap it up in 15 so we don't have to talk to that guy.
I think. Well, I'm not sure. He
Yeah,
wanted to like
interesting.
talk about something and then stick around after. So
I think
we
he
can have-
wanted to hear whatever this super
Or-
secret chit.
Yeah,
within
so
the
we
chit.
can wrap up chit chat then if we want to just hang out for that then.
Can we do it
Yeah,
without
well,
Greg?
we can wait for Nick to get
Well,
here.
Greg has
and then
been
leave.
present last time. Yeah. Do you have another intricate, interesting world-changing
I was gonna ask about pacing in tabletop RPGs. I'm not sure if we've already done that one, about how to handle like the pacing between story beats and how to prevent scenes and encounters and adventures from like rushing or dragging. so that you have something that, like, what are the different tactics you do to make sure that something doesn't turn into a slog, or that something doesn't just like go by too quickly to the point where it feels ephemeral?
I feel like DMs should be less afraid of montages to like speed things up that would be tedious, right? Like you can cover a 2-week overland journey in like a narrated montage and like skip to the important encounter halfway, or just be like, you're level 10, nobody cares about the kobolds that ambush you along the road. Here's like a narrative description of what those 2 weeks look. Here's the countrysides you pass through, or like over the course of a day you can be like describing the sun rising and falling, or the thunderheads rolling through, and just skip over the like, what do you do?
I guess as a similar but tangential bit to that, do you ever run into problems on the pacing side where your players want to sort of like exhaustively discuss every decision they make and come to like a group consensus before they make a decision going forward?
There's an entire thread about this, about the equipment nights on Reddit right now. And people are complaining. So if you want to check that one out and you want to wind
you want to shit talk Faye.
you can shit talk me. Just do it in
actually, most of
I'm okay with that.
You're the one that comes out looking good. Most of the other players.
Yeah, but like, that doesn't. I care about the people I play with. Okay, yeah. So I appreciate that. But no.
That comes up a lot. I think a way to do that is the DM to take it out of the player's hands while reassuring them that it doesn't matter. So the DM to just be like glossing over a week and be like, it's clear that you are not getting murdered. I'm not ambushing you on the road. We're just gonna like have a nice little story time and get us from point A to point B. Where I would be curious to hear solutions is like, when you've got wizards or something where every day of spell learning matters, that's when it comes to a grinding halt, where the wizard's like, no, I need to take it day by day. I've got things to roll. I got shit to do. I'm using my crystal ball every afternoon. I am not. I do not consent to this montage.
I think it's the difficulty also comes with the higher level you are and the more shit you have to do. I've had a heated discussion with my DM the other week, which was quite unfair from my part. I do admit that, because I'm having a hard time in high level campaigns. I think let's say I'm a 12th level cleric in that one, okay? And I am the only spellcaster who has an extensive spell list. We're talking 5e here, yeah? And 5e high-level spells are fucking long. Like, that's half a page. At the very end, it tells you that you're not interested in that, right? And if everybody else is like a warlock who has 5 spells and casts Eldritch Blast, right? Or is like, the other dude is like a fighting kind of deal, right? Who doesn't have to prepare anything. And we're going into the next encounter you're going to have is you're going to visit like a double deadly encounter dragon on the dream plane, right? And you have to create the dream you're gonna be in, right? And then I have to look through all the spells I can potentially use on a different plane. And you're like, well, what are you gonna do, right? And you're trying to push this forward. I'm getting stressed out because I need to prepare shit. So if you plan to have like a big encounter coming up in a high level campaign and you want to avoid that, I think it makes sense to give your party time and be like, okay, we're ending the session here. You can do your planning and chat if you want to do that outside, or if you want to read your spells. But you need to give high-level casters that need to adjust their spell list the time to do so without stressing them out too much. Because if you're like, well, Faye, you've had 5 minutes to figure it out, please go ahead. I'm going to be like, well, fuck it. I guess we're going in with bless and, healing word, because I can't be asked reading through my entire spell list to figure out what I want to do. And then the encounter is going to be way less cool than it could have been if I created like a phantasmal temple or some shit, right?
This is especially an issue in, say, like, or with clerics who get tons of spells, and less so with like low to mid-level wizards who have like, they've got a decent number of spells, but they have like a smaller selection to choose from.
This is kind of it's a problem with D&D's design, and on some level it's interesting to have these like super specific and very flavor-ridden spells that are very mechanical, but it really bogs things down. That's not the kind of game you're playing.
Yeah.
There are other systems that
yeah.
handle this so much better, that have so much better spell design. And I don't know. I play Dungeons and Dragons, so I don't know what they are. But I've definitely like looked at other RPGs where like the spells are just like 2 sentences long. I'm thinking like Lamentations of the Flame Princess has shit like this, right? Where the spell is just like
They're pretty long in Lamentations. I think the difference is that
maybe I'm like
they have a smaller total spell list, so it takes less time to go through everything.
yeah, and like Zweihander has some cool spells that are just like it's just like 2 sentences, and it's like it's like the target has to make their percentile save, and if they fail, they just start bleeding out their eyes until they die. And
yeah, and then you've got like
it leaves it at that, and then the DM's like, well, I guess I've got to interpret what the hell that means. And then it doesn't leave a whole bunch of like interpretation and rules lawyer. I mean, there's interpretation, but it's not like that. Anyways.
Yeah, and then you've got things like Savage Worlds that take the idea of like combining effects and concepts to create spells rather than having like descriptions and specific spells.
I don't know. It's
I've had the same issue, Faye. I got criticisms during Hardcore Heroes of like, it feels like Sean will zone out when other people are having their roleplay moments and won't pay attention. It's like, man, I fucking get it. I'm not disagreeing. I gotta prep my spells. I'm the one who anti-poisons everyone.
I feel like you did a great job, Sean. And like compared to how like I don't know, and like you're really rules conscious and really good at Dungeons and Dragons. So like imagine anyone else playing a 9th level cleric in Hardcore Heroes and not just like bringing the game to a grinding halt.
It is
like,
really hard.
I play my high level characters like one-on-one where I can be like, hold on, there's gonna be awkward silence for the next 10 minutes while I read my spell list and figure out what I'm memorizing.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having a party waiting for me to like figure out my 9th level wizard spells.
It's terrible. It makes you feel really bad as well, because everybody's like, like doing their thing and they're done and ready. You're like, okay, I gotta read this real quick. And normally it doesn't matter, but if it's like a huge encounter, one time I just said, okay guys, we have to stop it here. I need to read it. Because it was like, okay, Faye, you're going in and you're gonna like plan this double deadly encounter together with the other warlock who transports me there. But I'm setting up the entire thing, right? There's like this creature has inherent fear, right? You gotta prepare a hero's feast. You gotta time it right. You gotta make an illusionary temple. You gotta tell me what it looks like. So I had to like draw an entire temple with like tunnels and stairs and all that kind of shit.
Sounds like you got tricked. It sounds like your DM tricked you into doing his job for him.
I mean, yeah, he did, but it was also our idea, It was like, okay, we were like, if we go into the dream plane, is there a way we can make up the dream ourselves to make an ideal battle situation, right? So like, we pretty much like planned our own fight out, which was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of effort. And if you're the only proper spellcaster, then that's a little stressful.
I think one solution, if everyone is on board, is to just like, who cares about being optimal, and just be like, all right, this is my spell list, these are the spells that are in character for my deity and for my character, and we're going with it. And like, if I don't have a hold poison, I don't have a hold poison, and the DM's an asshole for poisoning you. And just
like, you can go with that, but if the campaign has been running for 2 years and you're level 13, you kind of don't want to be like, fuck it, it's gonna be fine. Like, I can't do that. I will feel responsible if people in my party die because I didn't check that I do have something against poison on me, right, or something like that. So like, it's just how I play. I wish I could be the person who's like, I don't give a flying fuck, but that's just not how I play.
Sounds like you should have played the warlock and let someone else take on the stress.
I'm playing a bard in the other one, so that's perfectly fine. And I've played a warlock before, but yeah, I don't know. I just think if you only have one spellcaster, just give them enough breathing room to figure their shit out, I'm also not opposed to people just putting their brains together when it comes to really big encounters. I know people don't like the whole, that's out of character, you're breaking my immersion. But if somebody goes, hey, Faye, if you want to help planning out what this temple should look like, we can do it together. Like, that's more fun. You have the whole party being like, okay, I know it's your spell, but, we could do this. Or...
You're also not an 18 wisdom cleric, right? Like,
am I not, like, Brian? Should I be insulted here?
No, you shouldn't. Right? Like, you're not your character. Okay, fine. Maybe you have 18 wisdom, but I don't know. Not everyone's not.
You mean I can? I know.
Like, even if you're playing an 18
that,
intelligence wizard, but most people don't have 18 intelligence, like, it seems fair to take a step back and let the party metagame what sort of dream world the 18 intelligence character could devise.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think if that slows down your session because one of your spellcasters trying to figure out what to do, and you like, it's more fun to go on a meta level and be like, okay, let us just fucking look at the spell list and figure it out together what we want to do, right? I don't as long as the caster's up for that, if they, if they're like, no, these are my spells and whatever. But if your wizard or cleric says, okay, I would appreciate it if we come up with a plan for this together. I know you guys are all not spellcasters, but if anybody has a great idea, I'd love to hear it. And then the party has like a planning phase together, then it's not a grinding halt, right? Whereas if you have 3 people being dead silent and the other person like frantically reading shit, that's not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I feel like if it's a home game, it doesn't matter, and fun is the name of the game. Where it gets a little harder is when it's like a streamed game and you're also trying to be entertaining. And then like the immersion really does matter. And if you're slowing everything down to like think through your spell list, that's really boring content.
That's true.
So
I think the other problem you have, which is like having people wanting too many things, right? Like if you have a phase where, I don't know, people are in town and suddenly, or you're on the road, it doesn't matter, and you're asking 1 or 2 people what they are doing just to get a little scene going, but like the other 2 or 3 people also desperately want to do this thing, and suddenly the like carriage ride is like 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like you can lean into that though, because sometimes you do need that downtime. Sometimes you've been adventuring and doing epic bullshit for so long that you really do just need a 2-hour conversation in a carriage to set the tone of past and and future. I'm okay with these.
I feel like there was a lot more
moments.
downtime and discussion in the later Hardcore Heroes as well in that same regard. Like there was a lot more us traveling along in a carriage and like Van and Malachi discussing various opinions they had on the state of the world as we got to higher levels, because like our opinions mattered more because we had more ability to influence our immediate surroundings.
And when you're coming from an area, like when you're low level, it's not all high stakes. You can fight a goblin here, you can fight a goblin there, but when you're high level, it doesn't. The smaller things that break up the rest of the campaign kind of fall away, and it's like, well, we're gonna go from beholder to dragon, but in between, rather than doing some bullshit, we're gonna like talk in the carriage for an hour. Or describe the oily men who are carrying my solipsism to Palanquin,
Speaking of oily men. Hi, Nick.
Carrying Palanquins. Hello, Nick.
Yeah, hello. Sorry, I'm late.
You're good.
Oh, no
You're all
worries.
good, man. It's chit chat. It's no big deal.
I like, at the heart of it, I agree with that because I love downtime and that kind of stuff. But you will always, like these days, if you have people who watch D&D campaigns, there are plenty of people who don't appreciate downtime. Like there are plenty of people who want to see more fights and more happening. And if you read the comments,
I don't know. If you read the like,
hold on, let
Tombs
me
of-
finish first, Ryan. I'm not done.
okay.
My apologies.
So you do. It's okay. You are forgiven. If you read it and then people will say, oh, there wasn't much happening that session, right? Even if you did have extensive character moments or like a lot of, if there were things happening that are not combat oriented or accomplishing certain goals, right? People would judge it as there wasn't much happening that session, right? Which I don't think is inherently true to these story moments. Okay, now you can go.
Yeah. I don't.
Please rip into me, sir.
I mean, I think the progress in campaigns is kind of an illusion, and it's a little different there. But I would say, like, if you look at like the comments on the latest Tombs of Scoria, the most recent episodes have been getting a lot of praise, and they've been pretty like role play heavy.
Yeah, that's true. I think it took a while to get there, though. I think this campaign had to go for a while before people were appreciating like character development,
getting invested.
I think it took a while with Hardcore Heroes, but we got there as well.
I haven't watched the last one.
And what they complain about is mostly the combat. When a combat encounter goes south, it feels like a lot doesn't happen. Like when you have a battle and the PCs lose and run and get no rewards and no experience.
Yeah,
that's when it feels like not a lot happened. It's like we wasted an hour jerking off these man scorpions.
Yeah,
you got nothing to show for it. What a waste of an hour. Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it always weird. I'd be like, oh, you wasted an hour. I find that a weird I get where they're coming from, but
if
I
it was
never
spent
feel
having
like
fun, great, but no one had fun.
But like,
Neal,
you can't play D&D for the viewers because you're never going to please everyone.
That's your job.
No, you're never going to please everyone. You can't be like, oh, well, people want more of this, so we should do this because, like, there's a lot of opinions. They're always gonna be contrary to one another. There's no one thing you could do that's gonna make everyone happy. And even if you could, they don't know what they want that makes them happy. They just reacted to what is happening in front of them.
I see your point, but there is something to be said for, like, if the audience is
nothing to be said for it.
If hundreds of people are enjoying it, it's probably better.
You don't make art or stories by committee. You don't listen to what other people say. You do what you want, and if it's good, then it's good. But you don't listen to the demands of the people. That's how you end up with Marvel movies, where they're all the fucking same thing.
On a show the same way they do on a normal table, and I bet that you don't either.
I agree. Yeah.
I think there are considerations to be made, but they are on a more meta level of pacing and focus on the game. When you're playing your home game, you're gonna sit around the table and talk about random bullshit as much as you are actually gonna play like your Dungeons and Dragons game, right? You're gonna sit there and you're gonna talk about a TV show or something. I guess Greg will talk about every single sport in America.
And you literally won't get anything done. You'll come to play D&D and 4 hours will pass. Someone will finally get some pizza. You'll roll like 4 dice and then someone will be like, oh wait, I gotta get up in the morning. Sorry guys, and it's over. I've never wasted as much time as I have playing in-person D&D and getting literally nothing done.
But a good story is a good story. And if you can make something that pleases Twitch chat, it's probably fun for the players too.
Right,
Whereas,
but the approach isn't to think about what the viewers want. The approach is to do what's fun for you and the players. So you can just ignore all the opinions of the viewers if you want to do something.
I mean, let's be tell yourself, Neal.
I think that's probably in the process of making the art. Sure, you ignore the audience because you can get your head up your ass that way, and no one wins. But once you've made it and you put it out there, you're not making art for yourself. You're making it for some viewer, and maybe it's you in the future, but more often than not, it's some appreciator out there.
But the person that it is made for is sort of unknown, right? You do something, and so the person for whom it is will find it, sort of.
I guess, but if no one likes it, or if everyone likes it, then you're probably doing something right. You should do more of that in the future.
Maybe. I don't know.
But also people don't know what they want. And sometimes you can kind of tell you're winning if you see dozens of people flaming your Reddit thread. Be like, okay, they're clearly invested in this.
I mean, I was surprised somebody was even still watching this. I was actually kind of flattered. Someone goes back, watches old shows, goes on Reddit, and then complains about it. I'm like, dude, it's been 2 years. But I'm flattered. Thanks, man.
Yeah. And not even they watched a little bit, and they're 10 episodes deep. They've watched 40 hours. They spent a whole work week
and they're
watching.
I hated everything. I watched the whole thing. It was terrible. I'm like, wow, that is impressive. No, I'm just making.
Thank you for the engagement.
There's definitely people like that, though. It's hard to understand their train of thought. If you hate it so much, why are you still watching it? There's one guy who comments on Hardcore Heroes. If you go through the early episodes, he complains about everything in every episode. And then the guy's still commenting in episode 41. What are you doing? Do something else.
I think he's secretly enjoying it.
Sometimes, though. They're people
really
who will
start.
There are people who will start commenting on the thread, right, and be like, "Oh, this was shit. This was terrible. This was," and they just go and they make 12 comments, and I'm like, "Holy hell! You're spending a lot of time on this. Not enjoying yourself." I'm like, what? That is really fun. No, what I wanted to. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was going to change topics so you finish off.
Right, just real quick.
Well, it just hang on. Let Faye finish what she was going to say.
Just really quick, I wanted to say that even if you shouldn't care too much personally about what people will say, in the end, in a Reddit thread or a YouTube comment or whatever, I think that as a player, we usually want the effort you put into something to be rewarded, right? Yeah. And that doesn't need to be rewarded by a direct feedback, which is oh, Faye's the coolest, right? But if you put in effort and all like there's never anything coming back. You don't know if the effort is actually like worth it. It's like, am I just making a clown out of myself? Is anybody like, am I adding something to this? You know, like it is good to know that you're adding something, what it is you're adding, what people like, so you know that the effort you're putting in is like the right effort, right?
Definitely, yeah,
and the right amount. I think that like feedback in some way is important. Yeah,
I think so. I like to know that people are enjoying it. And I would like if I was getting a lot of criticism for one specific thing, I would think about changing it. Which actually brings me on to what I was going to say. So, Neal, you mentioned that you guys talked about something last week that you want to fill me in on.
I asked the same question.
The post chit chat.
They won't tell us.
We'll tell you. We'll tell you when we get rid of the viewers.
Oh wait, really? Oh,
yes.
Okay. Wait, why?
We'll tell you when we get rid of the viewers.
Is a big secret.
Yeah. It's super secret.
Are we talking about lag here? Because I was wanting to say something about that.
Oh, yeah, sure. What do you want to say, man?
Well, I was thinking, should I retire my character and make a new one now that Iswell's gone? And I'm not sure that Abaddon really.
Am I gonna have to make another new character because the character that I made isn't gonna fit in with whatever crazy plans you guys have come up with?
What if you guys just play the same one character and have it be a two-headed person, and you have to argue back and forth about what you do that each round?
Could be quite funny, actually.
No, you can just chill with your character. We'll chat more about it afterwards. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I will not bully him too badly until we see what's happening.
Well, you know what? I felt bad casting spells on you guys, but I felt like at this point, sure, the last 5 spells he'd cast were fucking his own party. So I felt it was justified in that moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not cast spells on you, just wanted to.
I feel like you did.
I did not. I had the choice to fear the. When the what?
The episode before, just after Bellum turned me into a T-Rex, I tried to kill one of the sheep. And I think you both cast spells on me.
You don't try.
I paid good money for those sheep.
I can't. First of all, I can't even remember. Secondly, I'm pretty sure that's not true.
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
I did cast Fear on, but I cast it on the priest when we were at the temple. I didn't cast it on Abaddon.
I didn't set out to be a murder hover, but
they never do.
But I'm not diametrically opposed to it. I feel like it's somewhat justified on this character. No, yeah, thanks.
You got you
got a house.
You chose the religion of murder hobo. You got a house.
Yeah. You got a house. You can't be a murder.
That's true. Yeah, a murder tenant.
just called a murderer. It's fine.
It's just a murderer.
You can be a manslaughter homeowner, if you don't like being a murder hobo.
Manslaughter homeowner, yeah, true. I kill people, but there's always a reason why, and I do it.
It's always by accident.
Third-degree murder, didn't mean to do
intent. It. You come across, zero.
Although, if you're going down that road, you got to be careful what state you go with, because some just call manslaughter depraved heart murder. So you gotta be careful. If you don't want to be a murderer, you gotta look for where you're living.
Mm-hmm.
I did not murder my best friend. I failed to save her. It's not the same thing.
You didn't fail to save her. You chose to go after a magical item instead of trying to save your friend.
If we ever have a Q&A about this, okay, I'm going to tell you all my intents and purposes for this, okay? But that's it was a very important session for Nyx. And if you go back and if you rewatch it, you can see all the signs, because Neal and I did a great job at foreshadowing in that one.
That was really good, actually. That was a top-tier session.
We actually did a fucking amazing job. So if you rewatch it and you know how it ends, you're going to enjoy it a second time, because there's actually some great stuff in there. But, if you think the ending is too sad, you may skip it then. But, apart from the last 15 minutes. Yeah, so that was actually quite interesting.
That was good.
I was doing a one shot on my channel last night with some of my tier 3 subs, right? And so they were going into this tower, right? And there was this uber wraith shadow demon thing at the top of the tower. And in order to fight it, they had to find this the wizard that lived in the tower beforehand. Like, he had a book on banishments, and it would tell you like the components they needed, and then you could find the specific components and go and fight the shadow or banish it. But they just didn't do that. They just ignored that part of the quest and just went straight into the battle at the end. So I was like, okay, they're definitely going to lose. They were doing quite well. They were starting to win, and then the wizard. So there was like a little girl that the shadow was trying to like consume its soul to like make itself more powerful. The wizard just literally fireballed the whole party, killed 2 PC members, killed the little girl, didn't kill the monster, and then they all just TPK'd at the end of it. It's like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Was he trying to sabotage, or was
I don't think he was. I just
fireball.
I think he was like one of the last spells of fireball. So
he didn't ask who the victims were. He said, "I cast fireball."
Well, he was saying I cast fireball. I was like, mate, the room is literally 32 feet wide.
Yeah, he didn't ask what the room looks like, though, did he?
No. Well, I think he knew, but I think he knew he could cast it and it would hit everyone but himself. So he just thought, fuck it. But then they all died.
He's in the 2 feet, and then the other 30 is
yeah. So it could be worse, you know.
Why did we come here again? Were we trying to save anybody? Oh, no.
The funny thing is, I think if they'd have survived, the cleric would have killed him afterwards for killing the little girl. But they basically just entered the one shot right at the end by refusing to get the last part of the quest.
There are plenty of tragic D&D stories out there. You know? The heroic ones always get told, but the sad ones where you die to your own fireball in the tower, those ones usually don't make it out there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Mm-hmm. I once had like I think a 1.5 year long campaign die to Yetis in the snowy mountains. Not even like a big bad evil guy. Not even anything story related. We were just ambushed by Yetis, and they just fucking.
That's the best endings. The best endings to a campaign, I think.
Had that. Party just died on a boat. they tried to commandeer a boat, and they did not successfully commandeer the boat.
Yeah, well, you know, that happens a lot. You know, where you just die to something really stupid.
That's what I like about D&D versus normal media. When I was a viewer, I really liked how it could end at any moment it's not like the campaign was going to end at the massive battle against the big bad evil guy. It's like they literally could die at any moment. The hero could just die from saying the wrong thing to the wrong person, which, you know, spoilers for the original roleplay is how it ended. And I just thought that's still my favorite. And I mean, you even said it, Neal, when we were talking about Teams of Scoria. I still think that was like one of the best endings to a campaign. I like that.
And for the record, Verissa didn't die to an electric eel. It was a regular eel.
Wasn't even electric.
D4 damage by attacks. Nibbled to death. You could have just had the eel fuck off.
I know.
Like, I was trying to run, but like underwater combat is a bitch.
But like, if you're gonna justify an eel attacking a person, like, why wouldn't it just keep attacking them after they run away? Like, the eel came across you in the middle of the water, so it must have been hungry, and that was the
right. Yeah, what is an eel doing in the middle of the water? I don't even. Okay.
Bad decisions were made. Okay. Not everyone is perfect all the time. We can't all be you, Ryan.
Except for Ryan, yeah.
He's the exception that proves the rule, you know?
I think I had a halfling monk almost die to 3 centipedes in the sewers once because they dropped from the ceiling, surprised, and 2 of them crit.
Nice.
And it was just, I didn't even get to roll. It was just like, bam, you're unconscious. I'm like, good talk. Nice.
You've still never done it, Neal, but I long for the day when the party are just assassinated in their sleep. And the campaign ends, it's like, oh yeah, well, you'll just get killed in your sleep.
Really? I know a campaign that was almost like that, where you just get abducted in your sleep and then you get assassinated later. If you want like a recommendation.
But you know, you guys at least had a chance, right? You know, you weren't just asleep and then dead.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be very much fun.
It wouldn't be fun. No, but
I feel like you'd have to do something really bad to justify assassinated in your sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, you could make the entire party roll perception checks at half their perception, and if they fail, then they've been snuck up upon, and then it's just over.
Do something like that. But they'd have to like commit some heinous crimes to warrant the Midnight Assassin.
I don't know. Any sort of assassin. You just got to do something mildly frustrating to someone, and then they'll send assassins after you. mildly inconvenient.
What kind of world do you live in?
Skyrim, definitely Skyrim. They do that all the time. You get like 50 assassins for just stealing someone's one gold piece. That's how it is.
Mm-hmm. I was sort of excited to try and kill you guys with kobolds, but
you were. Mutin messaged me after that. It was like, was Neal actually going to just try and kill us with 100 kobolds? And it's like, yeah, he actually was.
Yeah.
I mean, I would not be surprised.
If you didn't roll that one, what would have happened?
You guys would have been pinned to the ground and had your gear stripped off you bit by bit while the kobolds nibbled on you. You got enough, attack capabilities that you could kill one or two a round, and it would take you 15 rounds to get through them all. But like, you could do it. Maybe.
Talking about speeding up,
You would have taken a lot. Yeah, you would have taken a lot of attacks.
Kobolds fighting.
You're not thinking like a kobold here if you're just having them swarm. Like the kobolds got to set up their murder holes with like traps and burning debris.
They were. It was 100 invisible kobolds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, sitting within an invisibility 10-foot
radius, and he calculated the maximum number of kobolds you could fit.
Oh my god, were they stacking on top of each other? Was
They're
it like
just
a kobold
pressed close together, with one invisible
adorable.
caster in between, and then as the party goes past on the road, they all like, Rah!
That is really cute. Big fan.
Yeah, it was great. But Nick was displaced. They had disadvantage on their overbear attack, and the disadvantage rolled a 1, even though it was still like a modified 34. So, yeah.
Jesus.
The one saved me. That was it. That was the only thing that was going to save us there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might think that's a bullshit
next
encounter,
time.
but they're still fun in the end.
Well, it was nice to give Imric a chance to actually save the day for once.
Mm-hmm.
Some guy just earlier today sent me a really long DM in Discord about how I should try and guilt trip you into giving me a +1 int item. He was like,
okay, why is it wizards are the class that benefits from this shit the least? Like,
I don't think so, because I failed so many spells. Learn spells.
Spells? You don't even get clerics.
It's not that important now, but for a while I was maxed out on level 1 spells, so I couldn't learn
You're
magic
as
missile.
bad as that guy in the Discord.
I'm not as bad as him, no.
I just want to say, Toss is the most double-stacked magic item party I've ever seen. When I was level 7 on my cleric.
I was level 7.
I didn't have it. Neal, hold it. I had 1 ring with +1 to damage. And that's it. That was my magic items.
It's all relative.
And then we got a Horn of Blasting, which I got to hold in the last episode. I was so honored. That was me at level 8. Just like 7. Just putting it out there.
I mean, that's kind of the premise of Teams of Scoria, though, right?
The problem is that it's the other two that have all the magic items.
Oh.
I've just got JacobH's robes, which are good, but I only recently got them.
We'll take those robes away from you if you aren't.
No. Hey, you've caused enough trouble, Ryan. Yeah, well, what if he's just got permanent display self, permanent improved blink?
That's what you have, permanent display self.
No, but you've got Georg when we tried to fight him. Oh my god, it's like permanent stone skin, improved blink, can't do anything. And Neal told me that you came on with that, Ryan. So I blame you.
I just play what Ryan tells me to do.
You actually, Neal buffed it a little bit. Or did you re-roll his HP or something? With
I re-rolled his HP, with D8s. Yeah. The HP you gave me was a little low.
I was rewatching the start of Georg last night just for something to watch. And I don't know if you guys remember, when Ryan rolls his stats, he rolls like really shitty stats. But beforehand, he did RFC and...
Yeah, Georg was a chat character.
Yeah, and Neal, you said you can use your chat character if I can use the one that I rolled. And I wondered if you remembered that because Georg lasted so long. Did you actually use the good stats that you rolled in the
No, totally
RFC?
Forgot about what those were.
Yeah, so you gave him the 18 and you didn't even get the benefit for it.
So, it was fun.
It worked.
Yeah. It's not all about what you can get, Nick. Sometimes it's about what you can give.
Don't paint me like that.
I'm sorry.
That's not fair.
I'm so sorry.
That's not fair.
Tombs of Square keeps talking about these int items, and I don't think it's going to do you any damn good.
Well, not anymore. It doesn't matter. I just wanted magic missile, but now that I've got magic missile, it doesn't matter.
The dual wielding wands is pretty OP. I think it's kind of cool, but
It's kind of cool. It's kind of cheesy.
I mean, with magic missile wand, it's not super OP because there are only 2 missiles, so conceivably a wizard can shoot 4 missiles.
I think they have to be of the same type, though.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was just going to say. It has to be the same one.
Yeah, you can't do like fireball and slow and like.
Yeah.
But you can do like 2 fireballs.
One around.
Right.
2 fireballs.
Yeah, if you've got 2 fireball wands somehow.
I'm very much opposed to this bullshit. No. Double wands. Come on. No. You could. No.
Only if you have like little wand holsters and you can do like tricks and like.
I think that would be a fun campaign.
Cowboy
we sort of
wand
tried
western
and failed the western, but I think a wizard western with like gunslinging wizards like rolling initiative to like, can I get my magic missile off before you pull up your shield?
That might be fun.
Or like wand slingers. I don't know. There's a kernel there of a campaign.
Your character's name is the Colonel? No. I could do it. Wand wielding colonels. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Well, does anyone else have anything else, or should we call it here?
Call it for the secret memes. I'm excited to know what it is you want to tell me that you can't tell me on the show.
Oh, they're so deep, so important. It's the what the next big cryptocurrency is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Koibu
tell you where
coin.
to send your investments.
Koibu coin.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be no cat coin.
No cat coin. It's all Koibu coin from here on out.
1 Koibu coin is worth 1 copper.
Yeah.
To start with, but it's going to take off. I swear.
Yeah.
Just send me your graphics cards, and I'll give you some Koibu coins.
Good.
All right, going once.
Yeah,
Topics.
nothing else.
Why does chat keep asking my opinion about what happened to Georg? What's going on?
Oh, they just want to know how you feel about him being played in Toss.
Being killed.
He's not dead. Is he dead?
He's got a hole in his head, right?
Oh, I mean, he's ascended to his final form.
Denial.
He pwned you guys. I'm upset that Neal didn't finish Anton off. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, a little bit. I know what you mean. Magic missile. I think Lucas and Steven, but especially Lucas, needed a little bit of humility of you using all of our own shit against us with the displace and the magic missile and stone skin stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I actually just built him with everything he had when he died.
Yeah.
So like all of his buffs are the buffs he had when he got petrified, and they're now just permanent. And all of his spell abilities are the spells he had memorized or the spells that he had that are from the amulet.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And my character just got burgled and left behind, so you already did a lot better.
Yeah, I was not happy with how Neal played Sarah. I don't know.
I tried to play her as little as possible, but it got messier than I had hoped.
I don't know. What are your thoughts there, Faye? Did you watch that episode?
I think which one? I think there were 2. I think
there were 2.
It was like at the end.
The end of the first one was when we went to the temple, and then the second one was when we were like.
Well, I did not appreciate having my breast nuzzled for one, Nick.
Sorry,
but
I didn't.
He was a horse, right?
It's fine. I'm just making fun of you. It was no big deal at all. I just thought you might be embarrassed, and I
am embarrassed. I am embarrassed.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah.
I thought it was.
You were Pegasus, right?
Yeah.
I think
he was just role playing his character.
Yeah.
It is a little bit hard to tell because I can't quite tell where she's not dead, right? So I can't quite tell where the story is going. But I also feel like that was all the party wanted from the character was to get her items and get the fuck out, right? Like, which is fine because that's their campaign and they can do with it whatever they want. But that does have consequences for how you see certain people at the same time, right? If you're
I did kind of go out of my way to try and at least respect the agency of the character in terms of not allowing you to get married off against your will and stuff like that.
Sure.
I mean, stealing all your shit is fine, but
Yeah, exactly. Like that's like, you know, I mean, also it's not your decision in the end if she gets like married off or not, right? You can say whatever you want, but you don't really have the final say whatever the queen wants in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take someone's stuff so nonchalantly, you're like, oh, we're going to talk about it when we come to the castle. And you come to the castle, you never talk about it ever again, right? Like, nobody needs to be very smart to understand what is going on there. Yeah, I mean, all I'm going to say is when Sarah hits level 8 as a cleric, she actually can make people immune to fire, which is quite cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys done fucked up.
But you guys are not you guys are not getting like any support from that anytime soon. I think what's interesting to see is going to be when we figure out whether anything is going to happen to Janice. Because if you saw the episodes, then you know that Sarah is like not really free, like the party might see it as such, but if the person who said if you say anything to anybody or if you leave this place you're going to be dead, like if you get freed from that place and then that person said that it does not get killed or anything, you're still in great danger. So there's a lot of danger going on in the background. We'll see how that plays out.
Sounds like you need a couple of episodes, right? See what happens.
I don't think that's gonna happen, like especially since I don't know. I mean, Georg is a much bigger and much more interesting character than Sarah is, and I'm not particularly worried about how Neal played it, right? How he played her.
But Sarah's still alive. She's still a PC. Like Georg is like ascended to like unplayable status.
I mean, as far as
like
I know, she might be dead by now. I don't know. I'm not sure. What is it you didn't like about it, Ryan?
I don't know. It just felt like he was taking away your agency. Like it felt, I don't know. It didn't feel like Sarah. It was like, no offense, Neal, but it. So I guess I mean, if you're fine.
Surprised you even watched the Koibu Nights. Look at you go.
Well, I only watched about 40 hours of it before I started.
You wrote almost
the shit posting about it.
Yeah, but that's exactly why I tried not to play characters for other people, is because you're never going to do a good job. So instead, I just badgered Faye with a whole bunch of hypothetical questions before we went into session, and then sort of dictated the outcomes. But so I guess Faye was medium was.
I feel like you should have prefaced with like I consulted with Fayama and. I don't know, because I couldn't tell. You were like doing a hand-wavy job of role-playing her, and I guess that was because
only
you
the
didn't
10 people who liked Koibu Nights would appreciate that, so I bothered to gloss over it.
I did like the whole cult of the reborn or whatever it was. Was that Neal's creation or
that's my creation?
Yeah,
it was something. It was interesting because Neal and I figured this out a long time ago, before TOS even started. Right, like we had a big talk about it. Because I brought up some points and then we talked about it and then we thought it would never Neal said he knew it would come up again. I thought I'd never see this character ever again, right? And then it's like 1 or 2 years later, so it's like, oh, and there's also this Koibu princess, and I was like, holy shit, she's coming back. It was I didn't think it would ever come up again, but it did, and that was very interesting. You know, but I think it's fair not having too much influence over something most people don't know about anyways in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Did you not consider bringing Faye on to play it during those episodes?
No.
How come?
Because he doesn't like me as a person.
The first part of it is technical. The overlays alone would have to be redone. It's just a bitch to bring on another person when you've already got overlays set up for 3 people or whatever. I guess we could have switched out her spot with my spot in the cams. It's possible, but it's a pain in the ass. Secondly, it would be sort of weird to introduce like a one-shot NP or one-shot PC that has like a tie-in to a completely different campaign that isn't deeply involved. Like we're not dealing with the Koibu Nights. It would just be like, hello, oh, you want to steal all my shit? Okay. Like it didn't feel like there would be a lot of adventuring or actions to take.
It's kind of convenient that they burned that bridge. Like it would probably be more awkward if they were like trying to forge an alliance and bring you back as a recurring support character.
Like we were gonna have you tag.
Probably for the best that Lucas is an asshole.
Right. That's the difference.
If you guys had approached her and been like, let's be friends, let's travel together, we could use a cleric in our party that's, you know,
then we could have done like the Janice arc together, and that would have made sense.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
Yeah.
I think like, you know, if it's just for 30 minutes, it's really not worth it.
Yeah.
Plus, then you give some.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, you do give some importance to something, and then people feel obliged to do something, even though they're not interested, right? Like, you really don't want to come on a show as a sidekick, and then people are like, well, we now have the Akuban princess, but actually we don't really give a flying fuck, you know, we really just want our shit, which is legit. But suddenly you feel indebted to giving that person screen time because they try to make time for you, and it's awkward if you shoo them out of the room after 30 minutes, right? Like, that's a bad feeling.
It's
So
just,
you really don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's just messy, and I didn't think there would be a lot of good to come out of it. It would just the pain in the ass to benefit ratio was out of whack.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. You're a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Seriously.
As I said, I don't like.
Yes.
It's absolutely true, 100%. I am.
That's why we play with you. All right, shall we bring this chit chat in for landing? I think it's about time.
Chit chat.
Yeah.
Secret
We'll
chit
go to our
chat.
secret second layer
Secret
chit chat, and then we'll
chit-chat.
kick Nick out into our secret third layer chit chat.
Oh yeah, let's go.
What Patreon tier do your viewers have to achieve in order to be invited to this super secret chit chat?
Oh, you got to do the executive producer tier. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, executive producers will you'll be receiving a top secret invite into our. I don't know. I hope there's not any executive producers. Are there?
Well, there's not, because there's only a
There are.
producer tier. There's no executive producer tier.
Okay.
Got
Yeah.
it. Nice.
You can open it for $50K a month.
Sure.
wow,
For that
okay.
much, you can come on and hang out in the conversation.
Can I have 50K then for being on here? Is there gonna get some money back out of this?
We're doing it for the
Okay, I'm doing it
exposure.
I'm doing
Right.
it for $20, Neal.
No.
$20. Come on.
Well, if
know,
someone drops
I
50K right now, then we'll give you all $20 and they can come and join our conversation.
Thank God.
You know,
the plan.
I think the Georg storyline played out the way it did because no one raised the $10,000 to bring him back.
That's it.
Instead, they donated it to the Tombs of Scoria Patreon, and
Yep.
so he came back.
Everybody
as
who's
a raise to
whining,
fuck them.
it's your fault. You know, that's why Georg's dead. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Undead.
Well, I don't see 50K, so let's go.
All right, your loss.
All right. Bye, everyone.